When load-bearing beams first came onto the podcast scene, their product was a little messy, unstructured. But by episode 52, when they covered the movie Richie Rich, they really started to find their voice creatively. And their 2023 episode about Grease 2 brought a new level of professionalism to the podcast in terms of production. I'm Matt Stokes, and my co-host is Lacey Roth. But there is no Lacey Roth. There is only an idea of Lacey Roth, an abstraction, an entity, something illusory. And though you can shake her hand and feel flesh gripping yours, she is simply not there. Hello, Lacey.
Don't just look at my ass. Eat it.
Oh, thank you. Or
I did a bit.
Or as they say in the foreign cut, asshole. In the United States cut, that word hole is bleeped. Or muted.
Appreciate the special.
That's why you come to this, for all kinds of info like that. But yeah, this is Load Bearing Beams. I'm Matt Stokes.
I'm Lacey Roth. We're married.
We have this podcast, and we're covering the film American Psycho, which I keep accidentally calling American History X.
Fucking doing it to me.
So I do want to talk about movies that start with American, because I have feelings about that.
Yeah, it's saying
American Sniper.
This is how you know. This is the American Psycho.
American Pie.
The definitive one. Yeah, there's something there.
There's something about America.
Now, I think that that mysterious voice who talked had a little bit to say about the other little mysterious voice who talked. So let's see.
Are the bits still going? Are you a 2-bit?
I've been a big fan of Red Rose Film Club since they released their first podcast in 2022 about Bong Joon-ho's film Parasite. But I think you should pay special attention to their miniseries covering the filmmaker S. Craig Zahler. It was here that I first learned what everybody means when they say the phrase bone tomahawk. By bringing their patented blend of historical context and cinema smarts, Hal and Craig are able to create a truly unique sonic experience in the audio podcasting space.
All right, that was good, Matt.
So,
your voice.
Hello, Hal, Craig from the Red Rose Film Club are our guests. Welcome, people.
Hello.
Hi, guys. Thanks for being here.
I'm so sorry that I talked through your entire opening.
No, you're so
dumb.
You're the me in this, and you're the me, and Hal's the Matt, and it's fine.
I just got excited, and I wanted to start running my mouth.
ADHD is real, man.
Tell everybody. Yeah. So we have Craig and Hal from the Red Rose Film Club podcast. Can you tell everybody who isn't aware, who you guys are, what your podcast is all about?
Yeah, so Red Rose Film Club is a phone. It's not a phone. It's a podcast about leftist politics and film. So that takes a couple of different forms. We sometimes inspect films that are coming from a leftist perspective, like with Parasite. Sometimes we cover conservative films, like the S. Craig Zahler series. And then I think more recently, we've been doing some deep historical dives. So last summer, the series of episodes I'm most proud of are our 3-part series on Italian fascism. So yeah, I'd like to think we take kind of a blend of humor, historical context, a sociological perspective, a social movement perspective, usually coming more from like a socialist angle or lens than a liberal lens, and blend that all together. And really, we started doing this. We stopped talking to all of our other friends about so much.
Honestly,
It's worked a little.
I found that my podcast does the same for me. I can just say things here to not say them to my friends anymore.
Nice. That podcasting has made us all more isolated in ourselves.
Right. Exactly.
I'll give a very great description of our podcast, and then I also make us watch really bad right-wing movies like the Daily Wire universe films.
Yes, then I appreciate.
Which are great. Although I didn't make you watch Lady Ballers. I had a little bit of sympathy.
Oh, well, you must be very upset that I think they're shutting down their children's production studio.
They're like bankrupt and shit.
Yeah, it is a sinking ship over there.
I will say, did you see that there's a Mormon film studio putting out an animated film of Jesus' life where Oscar Isaac voices Jesus?
What?
I just found that. I found out about that like 20 minutes ago.
Yeah, I think they only just released information about it yesterday.
That is crazy.
Something that we may have.
Yeah, I think
feel a series coming on.
I think you might have to. I really love the leftist perspective that you guys bring.
Yes.
It's something I'm honestly trying to bring more and more to our movie podcast, even if people don't necessarily want it. And I like that you do both, socialist movies and right wing movies. I think that recently you've been doing like Spanish Civil War and Spanish like Franco era movies, including a movie, and I had no idea about this, a movie written by Francisco Franco himself. How would you evaluate him as a screenwriter? Is he like a William Goldman-esque Hollywood scribe?
No, the director was bringing a lot more to the table than Franco was as a screenwriter.
No, it's a stinker. I think. Like, I mean, just aside from it being fascist propaganda, it is like, it's boring. It's really boring.
There are a few notable images in it.
Yeah, there is some like cool looking shit, but
like
it is
priests get
boring.
shot on the side of a cliff.
Yeah,
and it's really well lit.
Honestly, the part that sticks with me the absolute most in the movie is there is a like really pivotal scene where the lead character is like shot in the head but survives, and then
yes, I remember you describing
to a hospital, and he's in a coma, and his coma face is so funny. He's just like,
it's like,
and it's just really that was the most enduring part for me. I like that a lot.
And you said he walks into a room with just the bandage around his forehead, like a sweatband, and the person he's been working with is like, "Who is this?"
Yeah.
Oh, let me take off my disguise.
Yes, and that whole film is on YouTube with English subtitles.
Yes, it is.
If you wish to watch it, and it's very pixelated.
And boy, does it play at 2x speed if you click it up there.
What kind of runtime we talking? Okay.
Well, maybe we don't appreciate his screenwriting, but I admire the effort. I like that he at least went out and tried to make a movie.
Good for him.
Yeah,
good for him.
He for sure said, "I'm going to express myself via all forms of hegemony, not just political. We're going cultural too."
So many dictators are obsessed with movies. I mean, he's the one who actually said, "I'm going to try to make one myself."
I feel like Kim Jong-un also makes a lot of...
He doesn't make them.
Oh, yes, he does.
Does he?
No, I have no fucking idea.
Probably.
It's
They're probably...
I'm sure he's got like a credit on all of them just, by decree.
I want to get everybody's individual histories and relationship with American Psycho. The movie American Psycho, the book American Psycho. Let's start with you two. Tell us what's your relationship with this movie?
I have maybe it's just because this is who I am, but I feel like is the overwhelming history with this movie is that I was a 14, 15, 16-year-old like suburban white boy that liked horror stuff, and people were like, "You should watch American Psycho." And I did, and I was like, that was disgusting, and I loved that. It was crazy, and I was probably like, at least like to think I was aware enough of the subtext of like, like masculinity and yuppieism and the stuff we'll get into. But, as a 14 or 15-year-old, I just loved it because it was like gory and about a serial killer, and I liked horror stuff.
Sure.
And I would say for me, I couldn't tell you like the exact time that I initially watched it, but it was certainly during a period in my early teenage years where I was kind of undergoing a feminist awakening. And in the early 2000s, at that time, mainstream liberal feminism was like very obsessed with, it was like hypercritical of other women. It was very judgmental. And it was very liberal. So I think about this book that I read called Female Chauvinist Pigs by, at that time, around that same time, by this feminist writer, Ariel Levy. And it was about how like women are oppressing themselves by taking pole dancing classes. And if you're a slut, you're evil and that kind of thing. And I remember seeing the movie around the same time that was the kind of information that was being input into my 14-year-old brain. And being like, oh, this movie sucks. It is misogynistic. It hates women. And then a little bit later, and I don't know if the documentary came out at that same time or I just saw it afterwards, but I saw This Movie Is Not Yet Rated.
Oh, yeah. Kirby Dick.
Which is a documentary about the MPAA and how its ratings work. And Mary Harron, who directed this film, who I'm sure we'll talk more about, is very prominently featured in it, and discussions around the rating of this movie and her feelings that the MPAA was much more interested in like just letting the violence against women run free while limiting the sexual acts in it. Kind of clicked some things into place for me. I'm not going to say that that's like the only thing that started to shift my young teenage mind around these issues, but it definitely resituated how I perceive the film. And I've seen it, I don't know, probably 10 times, somewhere in that neighborhood. And now I quite like it.
Did either of you read the book, the Bret Easton Ellis book?
I have not read American Psycho, but I have read other Bret Easton Ellis works.
Yeah. I've listened to the audiobook.
That counts.
That counts.
I know people are particular, and I feel like I was lying if I said I read it without disclosing. But yes, but it was a very long time ago, and I remember lots of chapters on like fragrances.
Yes. And brand names.
And yeah, there's like, I think maybe, just long lists of
like the Bible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Until a few days ago, I had never read a word of Bret Easton Ellis, but I too listened to the audiobook, at least a lot of it. It is really hard there are so many brand names, and I know that that's the point, but it is overwhelming and kind of obnoxious.
Yeah, he's like a consumerist Tolkien. You know?
Yes, that's perfect. Yes, every couple pages you have to stop off for a song, except it's just a list of clothing brands. And like it is a fun book. And it's a funny book. But I'd always been like aware of Bret Easton Ellis as this like cultural figure without really knowing why. And now I've kind of crammed like interviews with him over the past few days.
Well, and he's like Brat Pack adjacent, right? Because he did Less Than Zero.
Well, he did, yeah, and he was apparently called there was something called the Literary Brat Pack that he was, which I think was just off the piggybacking off of the actual Brat Pack.
So Donna Tartt is like the other major person.
She did the Goldfinch.
Yes, and Secret History. Yeah, but they were good friends in college. So it's like people. I forget. Is it Bard? I think
it
maybe
was Bennington.
Bennington,
in Vermont. Yeah, so and then Jonathan Lethem, the guy who wrote Motherless Brooklyn, was like their third friend. But he did Less Than Zero, which was Andrew McCarthy and James Spader and Robert Downey Jr. were in the movie adaptation of that. But yeah, until a few days ago, I didn't really know that much about him other than as a reference. And my relationship with this movie is not much until I watched it one time when Lacey, it was 2014. Lacey was like, "You've never seen American Psycho?" And so we watched it, and I think I liked it, and probably I didn't totally get it. I was like, wait a minute, was this real or not?
It's kind of beside the point, Matt.
But I definitely thought Christian Bale was really funny. Didn't think, but it's always been one of these things that Lacey will pull out a reference to. She says Jason Bateman, and then I'm like, oh, Jason Bateman from Arrested Development.
Fucking Patrick, you know what I mean?
And then eventually you'll correct, Patrick Bateman from American Psycho. But it's very clearly like a big reference for you that's not for me. So I've watched it twice in the past few days, and I love it. It's great. It's wonderful. It should have been part of my life my whole life.
Hell yeah, I was on the edge there. I thought you were building up to and it's just not for me.
Oh, and then then the divorce happened.
It's just for me.
Right, yes.
But this is Lacey's load-bearing beam. What's your history?
Well,
Lacey?
I probably saw it. It's 2000, so probably in the theater. And I probably didn't totally get it, but I was definitely in love with Christian Bale because I wanted him to kill me like real hard. And then I think I just kept watching. It's like as I cross different moments in my life, become an adult, become a mother, all these things, the movie starts taking on these whole different meanings for me. And then this last watch, it's morphed yet again. And now I can firmly say Patrick Bateman is one of my special baby boys, one of my misunderstood little baby boys that I'm going to defend forever. Yes.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, I've heard a lot about this over the past few days.
Shut up.
Patrick Bateman, misunderstood icon.
He is.
I mean, I don't disagree.
Okay, and here's my other misunderstood little guy. Look at it.
Matt, when was the last time you got reservations at Dorsia?
I'm never able to. I call and they laugh at me.
But he does give me a roofie and then wakes me up at Denny's and he tells me,
no, we're at Dorsey.
That lady's got hardly any of those teeth.
I know I don't know if we're getting in the film yet, but I did Google because is Dorsey a real place? And then immediately felt dumb. It's not, if anybody was wondering, but
Barcadia is.
But what is?
Barcadia.
Well, it's a real place in New Orleans.
I know.
That doesn't count.
It's real.
That's not the one they were talking. It's not the bar arcade for adults.
You don't know. You don't know.
But that is one of those things where it's like, I'm sure if you lived in New York in the 80s, you're like, he's really taken us down a peg with all these fake restaurant names and these absurd dinner orders, and I don't understand any of it. I just assume it's all well observed and funny.
It does feel like there is one he had in mind, though. I feel like it's
sure.
Yeah. Dorsey is the good one, and then when Patrick Bateman says no one goes to Dorsia anymore, I even feel it. I'm like, no, don't say that about Dorsia. All right, we're gonna do our history segment. So this all starts with Bret Easton Ellis, who was born in 1964, grew up in the San Fernando Valley, and then went to Bennington College in Vermont, where he formed the literary Brat Pack. While he was in college, at the age of 21, he wrote and published the novel Less Than Zero. And it was a critical and commercial success. It was adapted into a film in 1987, starring Lacey's boyfriend, Andrew McCarthy, my least favorite actor, and Robert Downey Jr., and that was like the Robert Downey Jr. performance for so many years. Follow-up book was Rules of Attraction, which did less well commercially and critically, but his third book was American Psycho, which he wrote when he was 25 or 26, ultimately published in 1991, but there was a big controversy about this book because of the graphic depictions of violence against women. So for my source for this, there's an oral history of American Psycho from Movie Maker in 2020, and I have a link in the description. So, quote here from Bret Easton Ellis from 2020, quote, "It was definitely a criticism of male values that were around me, and it was easier for me, I think, to notice those values made clearly because I was gay. I am gay. And I think that gave me a distance and a perspective as to noticing them more than if I was heterosexual and participating in the society at that time. I was definitely participating, but being gay is really a distance. You are 4% of the population. You do not share a lot of the same feelings and experiences that straight men do, certainly in late 80s Manhattan. I think I was watching a lot of this behavior on the sidelines, and I wanted to criticize it. And a lot of it had to do with money above all else. Greed is good, the ethos of that era, that was bothering me. And just the attitude of the cocky young stockbroker, which really had spread among so many men. It was really apparent to me as a young man, struggling with the notion of becoming an adult finally, and not wanting to become an adult in that society." End quote. So he wrote this book that he, intended to be a takedown of men like Patrick Bateman, but was instead, before it was published, like a manuscript was leaked and excerpts were being read sort of out of context. And this led to a boycott campaign was called for by the National Organization for Women. And a big champion of this boycott was Gloria Steinem, who in a very remarkable coincidence would later marry Christian Bale's dad. Gloria Steinem is Christian Bale's stepmom.
Stop it.
That's
She's also
crazy.
a CIA asset. So
she is, or Christian Bale is, or Christian Bale's dad is.
No, Gloria Steinem.
Okay, okay. It's unfortunately one of those things that you can say it about anybody. I'm like, right. Oh yeah. Christian Bale's dad, absolutely.
Christian Bale too. And that one guy he was yelling at on the set of
that DP Terminator movie? Terminator Salvation.
Yeah, that guy's also fed.
A big time spook. So this controversy got tons of attention to the book, and it was finally published and became a big hit. So a movie enters development. Now, the person, when I read the person who first championed making this into a movie was the exact person who I would be like, yeah, of course you want to do it. Who do you think I'm talking about, Lacey?
Fuck, I didn't know there would be a quiz.
What annoying guy from the 90s is always doing stuff. Johnny Depp.
Johnny Depp, I think it would be Johnny Depp.
And he goes to a producer and he's like, oh, I should produce this movie.
I was in Cry Baby.
Yeah, so he has producer Edward Pressman purchased the rights to the book and gets to work developing it. The first director attached to the movie is David Cronenberg, which I think makes a ton of sense. And maybe he's the only other. I love the movie as it is, but I think probably able to handle the mixture of tones. But he hired Bret Easton Ellis to be the screenwriter, but then gave him very specific instructions, like I don't want any scenes that take place in a restaurant or a nightclub.
What?
And also the movie has to be under 90 pages or 90 minutes.
Hell yeah.
And so they started feuding and he left the project. And that is when Mary Harron came aboard. So Mary Harron, and we'll do a little overview of her, but she said in that 2020 oral history, she said, quote, "What occurred to me is that just enough time had passed to make a period film about the 80s and say things about the 80s and bring out the satire. And that was interesting to me. When I had my call with Ed Pressman, the producer, to discuss it further, I said, I don't know if you can make a film of this book, but if you'll give me the money to write a screenplay, I'll try." Because they had sent me another screenplay and I wasn't interested. I could only do it if I did my own version, end quote. So she brought on her collaborator, the co-screenwriter Guinevere Turner, who was also in the movie. She plays Elizabeth, one of Patrick's victims.
The one that's trying to get coke at 3 a.m.
Yes,
whatever.
yes.
Yeah.
Harron said, quote, "I can't remember when Guinevere came up, but pretty early because we were already working on the movie that became the notorious Betty Page. I felt it would be a lot more fun to work with her on this. And because I had just done I Shot Andy Warhol, which was about a radical feminist, and she had just done Go Fish, an indie lesbian romantic comedy, no one could tell us what was and was not misogynist," end quote. So they hire Mary Harron and Guinevere Turner to write a new screenplay and commission and hire Mary Harron to direct it. The movie that she had done right before this is I Shot Andy Warhol in 1996. Have either of you seen this movie?
I actually watched it to prepare for this because I have been desiring to view it. And so I decided to use this as an opportunity to do so. And I think I watched them like 2 days apart, really affected in a positive way my experience of American Psycho this time, because they're really two pieces of the same puzzle in terms of depicting the causes and consequences of violence, of gendered violence, but through, two kind of like dialectical opposing frameworks.
I wish I'd gotten to watch it. It's not streaming, but it's on YouTube. Did you watch it on YouTube?
I think I used a site that has dubious.
Everybody knows about these sites but me. Everybody's always telling
email
me.
Matt.
What happens is my husband, I go, "Hey, I can't find this movie." And he goes,
I got you.
"Here it is."
Can you have your cousin? Can you have your husband call me, please?
Your cousin husband. What are you implying?
Can you have your husband call me, please?
It's not that part of Florida.
It's on YouTube, but it looks so bad on YouTube. I gave up on watching it after a few minutes. But yeah, I was thinking, how
is a pixel snob.
Do they feel like parts of the same? I don't know. That's kind of exactly what I was thinking.
Very, very much so, and in particular, the way that psychopathology is gendered, and also class plays a big role. And I Shot Andy Warhol because Valerie Solanas, if you don't know anything about her, was like a person, a young woman experiencing homelessness who was like turning tricks to survive. So it's almost like if one of the sex workers that we see Patrick Bateman kill, if the movie focused on the subsequent violent consequences of her being exposed to violence.
So everybody check out I Shot Andy Warhol on one of those sites.
I loved it.
Violence for sport and then violence for survival.
But it's just great, this age of plenty where everything is available at the click of a button, except this movie, which is not streaming anywhere. Not streaming anywhere legally. But yeah, she went on to direct the notorious Betty Page, The Moth Diaries, Charlie Says, and Dollyland. And she also directed all of a Netflix miniseries that Lacey and I watched, and I remember liking, Alias Grace.
I don't remember that.
That was a Margaret Atwood novel. But anyway.
Right.
So we'll talk a little bit more about Christian Bale in a minute, but after auditioning him, Mary Harron is like, this is my guy. This has to be this is Patrick Bateman. There's nothing else we can do. But the studio decided they were going to make a giant splash and pay $20 million to hire the biggest young movie star in the world at the time, Leonardo DiCaprio.
Gross.
2 years
He
after
would have
Titanic.
had a tiny pencil and a notepad the whole time, writing down his tiny drawings of French women being fucked by goddamn chainsaws.
So much poetry.
With wet hair.
Yeah.
I will say,
much
though,
more
him
wet than
wearing
Christian Bale.
headphones while fucking somebody is true to life.
Yeah.
And so he's well practiced at that.
And
Does he do that?
Yes. Yeah. This was like a big thing in gossip circles in like the early 2000s. Like he wears headphones and listens to music while having sex with groupies.
he was a part
Well,
of
maybe
a group.
he has
He's a
that
part of a
thing
group
where
of
he-
really cool guys.
Where he doesn't like mouth noises, then you're in a lady's business and that's making its noises. Maybe he doesn't like that's a thing. That's a kind of neurodivergence.
That's probably
that's a
what it
thing
is.
called
That's probably
my
what it is.
sister, who I can't have dinner with anymore.
Right, because you won't stop making human noises. I get
Exactly,
it.
correct.
Yeah,
Yep,
it's
that's
your
me.
fault.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's funny. So it's not even like little tiny AirPods. It was back in the day when you just have to have the big old earphones.
And then fucking horse blinders because he's completely in like a deprivation tank. Fucking, I got it.
Do you know Leonardo DiCaprio's little group that he had in the late 90s?
You're referring to the Pussy Posse?
The Pussy
Hell
Posse.
yeah, the Pussy
Yes.
Posse.
We've had some encounters with the Pussy Posse on this podcast before.
Who's your fave? Who's your Sinatra?
Well, I got to go with Tobey Maguire. I think he's the secret Lord Evil of the organization.
It's Leo all day for me. He can have all this posse.
Lucas Haas all the way for me.
Let's
Lucas
see.
Haas.
Let's see how Leo does in the new PTA movie at the end of this year.
Oh hell yeah!
If
To make our final decisions.
Yeah.
Yes.
Are you a Leo skeptic?
I'm an agnostic.
Okay.
Because Matt is skeptic, and now
Well, I'm skeptic before I guess before Scorsese got a hold of
Yeah,
him.
I love him. All of his I love his performances in those films, but just him as like an overall entity.
Yeah.
Meh,
got it.
Yeah.
Annoying.
But there is no Leonardo DiCaprio. He's just an entity, an apparition, an idea of Leo DiCaprio. He's not even there.
He's just the pussies he's popped in a collection.
So Lionsgate is like, yeah, we're gonna make this big splash by hiring DiCaprio, and they don't even consult Harron about it. They just put out
That's misogynistic.
They put it out in the trades. Lionsgate signed DiCaprio, and Mary Harron threatened to quit right away because she did not want DiCaprio for the part. She said, quote, "He carried enormous baggage because he had just come off Titanic, and I thought, you cannot take someone who has a worldwide fan base of 15-year-old girls, 14-year-old girls, and cast him as Patrick Bateman. It'll be intolerable, and everyone will interfere, and everyone will be terrified. It would be very bad for him and very bad for the movie because everyone will be all over it."
Yeah. He wasn't ready to turn heel.
No.
Not for a long time.
They'll rewrite the script and all the rest. And I knew I could only make this work if I had complete control over it, over the tone and everything. The other thing is a lot of the plot depends on people mistaking Bateman for someone else. Not a lot of people look like Leo DiCaprio. End quote. I love just the very practical way of looking at that. And not many movies, I have sort of face blindness. Not a lot of movies
absolute face blindness.
address this idea that people can just get mistaken for other people as a normal part of life. So I like that she was just like, yeah, no one's going to do that with DiCaprio. Now, no one should be doing it with Christian Bale either, but okay.
DiCaprio's just too young too. I feel like in that era.
Yeah. He wasn't grizzled. He didn't have sexy wrinkles yet.
Yeah.
Although you're not supposed
Christian
to.
Bale's also very young, but he looks a little bit more, I don't know. I can't see DiCaprio that age being like jacked and like kind of hulking. Like
no.
Gangs of New York, I think, is 2002.
Yeah.
And he looked baby.
Yeah.
He looked
Still a tiny baby. Yeah, the suits would have been like Diane Keaton, like shoulder pads on. Like I just wore my dad's suit, like that. That one. He doesn't have the height. I need the height.
Yeah.
I need the brunette situation.
We did Catch Me If You Can last summer, and he's still a baby in that. And
Tiny baby.
That movie's like about the fact that this little boy man is doing all these
plays
things.
a 15-year-old.
Where Christian Bale is like, Christian Bale is the age of the character. He looks like a 27-year-old asshole.
Yes.
I'm sorry, a 27-year-old misunderstood baby.
God. Okay, that's
so the studio fires Mary Harron and at least gets in serious discussions with Oliver Stone. But ultimately, Oliver Stone declines. And Leonardo DiCaprio
That would be
declines.
crazy.
That would be awesome.
That would be a
That's
very different
feminism.
movie. It would be 3 hours long with a 4.5 hour director's cut, and I would probably like it and think it's a lot of fun.
it's a win-win.
Yeah, it's a win-win for everyone. But yeah, so Oliver Stone does not come aboard, and they bring back Mary Harron with the condition that Christian Bale comes.
So she got the condition, not they bring her back and then they got conditions.
That's right.
Okay.
All right, Christian Bale. Who is Christian Bale?
Tell me. He's only 6 foot tall. Why would you could have lied to me?
You thought he was taller?
Yeah.
All famous men are like much shorter because they have to be approximate heights for filming purposes. Like you don't want somebody who's 6'5"
Yeah.
filming next to
True.
a tiny itty bitty woman.
Then it's like Terminator 2 where they have to dig the hole for Edward Furlong to stand in because he's gone through puberty. Yeah. Fuck.
You're so much more aware of heights than I am.
I love a height.
Yeah, I
I
know.
want to scale a man. You know,
If I
that's
ever-
why I like you.
If I ever forget to put somebody's height in these slideshows, Lacey gets upset.
Well, I don't get upset. I just interrupt by asking how tall are they.
And then I have to Google.
You get upset. I
But
just have
Christian
questions.
Christian Bale was 26 years old when he made this movie. 6 feet tall.
You got 2 times speed all of a sudden.
He was born in 1974 in Wales. At age 13, he was, of course, the lead of Steven Spielberg's Empire of the Sun. In the 90s, after that, he was the lead of this musical called Newsies.
That's where I also
Yes.
know him from.
You know that movie?
Of course I know Newsies.
Wow, okay. Didn't expect that kind of a reaction
I
to
didn't. I had
Newsies.
no idea I loved it till
Never
just
seen
now.
it.
Yeah.
Oh,
me
we
neither.
should cover it someday. Honestly, it would,
I would be
No,
down.
dibs. I'm kidding.
Or you guys can join us to talk about
Do it
movies.
together. There you go.
Collab.
Bam.
He plays like supporting roles in like the 1994 Little Women. He's in Portrait of a Lady, the Jane Campion movie. Velvet Goldmine in 1998. American Psycho in 2000 is the beginning of Hollywood being like, you're a leading man. We're going to make this happen. And it takes a little while, but obviously Batman Begins in 2005. It finally happens.
Does horror normally do that for a person? I feel like you got to be pretty special. It's got to be a pretty special kind of horror to like leading man now. I feel like that can sideline you sometimes.
I think his face helps.
Yeah. He's got being hot down to a science.
yeah.
Yeah.
Those
I don't think
abs.
this movie was intended to make him a star because he said, let's see. He said, quote, everybody had told me it was career suicide,
Right.
which really made me want to do it. And I guess I was a little bit disappointed that it didn't end up being career suicide.
What the
I
fuck?
kind of hope that maybe that was it and I have to find something else to go do. I'm perverse. They told me I shouldn't. So of course,
Jesus.
yeah, that's Christian Bale.
He's kind of a
always
dark
like,
knight when you think about it.
Honestly, yeah.
You know?
I don't like that attitude. That's like when like you see in like an interview with an actor and they're like, if I had to have a regular job, man. I can't imagine doing anything else. Like, shut the fuck up.
Can you imagine him shouting at a coworker at Whataburger?
Oh, good for you. That's my favorite thing that he yells in that thing where like the guy clearly makes a good point back to him and he doesn't know what to say and he's like, oh good for you.
And because he's a method actor, and he's playing an American character in that movie, he is doing all of this in his American accent.
Yeah.
Because he can't break character to yell at the DP.
Yeah. Also, that movie is directed by McG, and it's just fucking stupid that a grown man is having people call him McG. But in the rant, it's also hilarious because he's like, McG,
Yo, McG, what do you think about this?
Guy.
Yeah, I know. Now, I have heard a lot of people are secretly like, yeah, but Christian Bale's right. That DP's an asshole.
Yeah.
That's all I'm
I mean,
saying.
You heard.
I heard. I'm very plugged in.
He listens to the Doughboys and we
Shut
hate
up.
movies, so he's real plugged.
And I go on Reddit.
Yeah, he does. He
I like
reads
the
it.
Doughboys.
I love Doughboys.
Wait, I love them too. Wait,
I did not hear that on Doughboys, please.
no shade. I'm just saying that's your plug to the industry, man.
Let's see. Christian Bale and Mary Harron, we're almost done with the history segment, I swear. Christian Bale said that he was talking with Mary Harron about developing the character of Patrick Bateman. And he said, quote, I think the thing that united us on it is I had no interest in his background, childhood, and she didn't either. We looked at him as an alien who landed in the unabashedly capitalist New York of the 80s and looked around and said, how do I perform like a successful male in this world? And that was our beginning point. And we didn't want to talk about why he was this way, what happened in his childhood. There was none of that between Mary and I. End quote.
That's what I'm here for. I'm going to make up a whole fucking backstory.
I think this is one of the things that I thought was a really beautiful contrast between I Shot Andy Warhol and American Psycho is that I Shot Andy Warhol is very interested in the ideology of Valerie Solanas' trauma and like what has happened to her in the past and what led her to here, and has this very like humanistic interpretation of where she is and how she got there compared to the treatment of Patrick Bateman's violence.
Mm-hmm. That's very interesting, though, because then that just kind of assumes that somebody that's born with everything shouldn't also have the kind of background that could lead them to this kind of rage. And that's not true, you know, but like, oh, but let's look at the poor person who's got to exploit herself. Let's exploit her a little bit more. And that's more interesting to... That's why girl get mad. Boy get mad because boy.
I think the lack of exploration of it here is about how it's endemic to upper class masculinity, as opposed to that it's inherent to the construct of that form of masculinity itself, as opposed to being a projected upon experience for a poor woman.
Mm-hmm. Plus, I feel like you get everything you need to know about him just in watching the movie, and just like Reese Witherspoon saying, "Your dad basically owns the company."
I want to fit in. Saddest fucking line. I'm gonna get it tattooed next to this one.
It is a great line.
I love it.
This is a very quotable movie. A lot of good lines. I kept writing in my notes, "That's a good line."
There's one that it will get me in trouble one day.
What is it?
Do it.
The one when like anytime somebody can't hear me in like a crowded place, I kind of will make the joke to my wife, like, I want to play with your blood whenever you're just like trying to shout over people and then they can't hear. I want to play with your blood. I love that part.
And then you're like, no, it's a movie. It's a movie.
It's a movie.
So American Psycho, on a $7 million budget, made $34 million at the box office. But I think its real legacy was on cable and home video, where, it became a classic. And then 2 years later, a direct-to-video sequel that I had no idea about, starring Mila Kunis and William Shatner. Totally unrelated, but that came out on home video. And now a remake is in development. And this has got Hal fired up. So tell us about the remake.
Yes. So I'm a huge fan of Luca.
Sure.
And his remake or reinscription or reinterpretation or whatever you want to call it of Suspiria is one of my favorite movies. I love the classic, of course. Love Dario. But though maybe it's less visually stunning, Luca's version is... I think about it all the time. It's like wormed its way into my brain. I love it. I love it. So, and I was really skeptical when that came out, right? In 2018, I was like, what do you mean he's remaking Suspiria? So I would trust him with any property, with any content. And I cannot wait to see what he does. And I'm also extremely high on Austin Butler after Dune Part 2. Oh, yeah. And Elvis was kind of genius. So
is he still?
Nothing but a sandworm.
Is he still stuck doing that voice though? Because that might make it tough.
He's still stuck.
He's stuck.
He's stuck.
Does he have eyebrows?
Phil Collins.
Can you imagine the voice that people craft for this?
Oh my God.
He's never going to come out of it. He's never going to come out of it ever.
Bateman voice.
Ever. Boy, I totally forgot that he did the Suspiria remake, and that's like the best case scenario of a like Sacred Cow getting remade and people being like, yeah, I liked it. I liked the remake. Love the remake.
And it's something so distinct. Like that is my thing, is that I don't even feel like you can compare them. Like aside from the coven in a German ballet, there is nothing related about the two films. So I'm very curious to see what it looks like in the context of something that has a textual basis. Like how much is he playing on that? But also his most recent adaptation, Queer, which I don't unabashedly love that, but I love a lot of it. And I think that he's going to crush it. I'm going in with sky high expectations.
We haven't seen Queer yet, but we loved Challengers.
Oh, I fucking
Challengers is amazing.
Damn, I haven't seen either yet.
Okay,
So
you have to watch
good.
Challengers.
I know.
Challengers is just a great adult movie. Like they don't make movies like that.
Challengers is the one that like when you and your significant other agree on watching a movie and then don't think of it, but you can't watch it without them, so it just goes unwatched for a year.
Boy.
Yeah, no, you're speaking to our heart right now.
There needs to be a word for this.
A load-bearing team.
Hey, maybe.
No,
but yes, that is a very distinct phenomena of this age that we experience all the time.
Matt will stop a movie like 10 minutes in when he's like, nope, that's a Lacey movie.
Yeah.
Got to back it up.
It's why I'm 10 seasons behind on Archer or never started.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, well, I started watching. I watched People Under the Stairs because you guys did an episode.
Yeah, and I told you because of their episode, I wanted to watch it, and you did it without me, and I'm still upset.
And I said, when were we gonna do this?
It's always your fucking answer. You're gonna
it's
make
always
time.
a good answer.
It shuts me down, so it's real
The
good.
craziest thing about that movie is that I had not watched Twin Peaks prior to seeing it, and I have since watched all of Twin Peaks.
Okay,
I feel like I gotta go back and rewatch Mommy and Daddy Be Freaks.
That's going to heighten it for me. Okay, good. I've already done my homework on Accident. Yes.
Also, Ving Rhames.
Ving Rhames, right. That's the part I want to, they're
going to make me the president of pussy, he says in the car on the way.
Okay, pussy count 2. I just have to say.
Oh, shit. Was I both of them?
Yes.
Shit, what was the other one?
Wait, what's my count?
Oh, pussy posse, fuck.
Yeah.
I don't feel like that should count. I'm going to protest that one.
Don't protest. No rioting.
All right, let's get to the movie itself, which opens, of course, with raspberries.
You don't know.
On the commentary, Mary Harron says it was her idea to have, she said in the 80s, this raspberry goo was on all the food. And she said, you could, if you didn't know, you thought you would think you're looking at blood, but no, it's just raspberries.
We're just kidding. It's like Charlie and the Chocolate Factory when you think it's poop.
That's what I always think.
It's just like that. Oh, it's a shit factory.
So we meet, the four best friends, I like to think of them as.
They're so close.
We got Justin Theroux, we got Josh Lucas, we got Bill Sage, don't know that guy.
No one knows that
guy. And Christian Bale.
Oh, Bill Sage is the guy. Isn't he the one that plays the president of the company in Silicon Valley? He's the president of Hulu.
That's who it.
That's Lewis. That's
Lewis.
Yeah, that's Lewis.
Shit,
Crothers.
Lewis. That's right. Yeah, never mind.
Matt Ross is the closeted man.
Oh fuck! I really got. There's something so familiar about him. Does he look like Devin Sewell?
You probably know him from American Psycho.
No, I don't.
That might be it.
He's barely in it.
I heard you like that movie.
I do like it.
So I mean, what do we think of these guys? Lacey, tell us about these gentlemen.
They're thick as thieves. No, they're just they're so disinterested with each other. They're going around measuring dicks, looking around at the most pastel, disgusting grandma's living room restaurant, at all the faceless, black, slick-haired people just like them. They're there to be seen and to get that sweet cachet. Mm-hmm. They made a reservation, Matt. They're all about the reservations.
What are they bragging about in the first scene? It's not the business cards yet, but aren't they?
No.
Shit, what is the conversation they're having at the beginning?
I thought it was just about restaurants.
Is it about reservations?
Yeah, about reservations.
Or is it about an account?
That's right.
Oh, I mean, yeah, and then like that Paul Allen has an account. How to get it? I don't know. It's really like kind of interspliced with the food ordering and like the crazy menu stuff.
Yeah, and there's a lot of like talking past each other. They're always having separate conversations because they're not actually talking to each other.
Right. It's not. They're not really a club. They're not really there to listen. They're there to see and be seen and to wear their Valentina suits.
I meant to ask you guys this. The novel is published in 1991. It's set in 1987. I think the movie is specifically set in 1987 too, because maybe Reagan's speech. That's how you can date it to when the movie takes place. But it's kind of interesting that like, so they filmed this movie in 99. There's only like an 8 years difference. Do you think that it's necessary that this is the 80s?
I think you had it right with the Reagan part.
Well, it's just like, I think when a novel's only 8 years old, you're probably like, just set it now. What's the difference? The world's not that different.
I just
from 8
told you the
years
difference.
Ago. It's that the Reagan thing
is so
important.
I mean, why else in the movie that way?
I know. It's just
Don't
an interesting
sass
choice
me.
to decide. We need to make this a period piece.
I think it also like the 80s just represents such a time, and like Reagan specifically, such a time of, unfettered capitalist, like business, but like these type of assholes, like business assholes, like just
excess cocaine, just all the indulgence
into its own. So like, I think that to me, it seems like, because it's not made note of heavily that it's the 80s, other than the references to the music and Reagan and all that.
Shoulder pads.
Because I think it does feel like there is an element that feels timeless to it. Like there's asshole men like this in every society.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's what makes it interesting, is because it does feel very specific to the 80s, but yet not. Like,
no, you're right, because when I see because men's hair is kind of classic, right? There's no traditionally 80s men's hair except for on Stash at the restaurant scene, and because he's goth, but when a woman comes in, it's just kind of jarring, except for Jean and except for the prostitute that he actually like kind of really clicks with. It's just like, oh, Aquanet bangs. I didn't expect you. And every now and then I'm reminded it's the 80s. It doesn't feel like it all the time.
I think there's two things here. One, like you said, the Reagan of it all. The speech that he's giving at the end of the film is about the Iran-Contra scandal, which is specifically about like institutional distrust and the revelation, right, that people, the 1000th revelation that people in power are self-serving, that elites do what is necessary to protect their own interests while lying. All of that obviously resonates with what's happening in the movie. The other thing I'll say is that the end of the 90s, there was a major .com bubble that burst. And so while this movie was in development, it may have just been easier to situate it in terms of the class
pre-internet.
The classed environment before that happened, rather than trying to make it contemporaneous.
It's like how if you make a movie now, you set it in 2019.
Right.
You're like, I just don't want to touch COVID.
Right.
I don't want it to take place during COVID or after COVID. So just 2019. But it's like if we made a movie now about 2012, the long gone world of 2012 and how differently we all dressed. Sorry?
John Cusack made that movie.
Yes, he did. My sweet, sexy boy. Okay, I have too many boys. I'm collecting them all.
You do.
I have some boys in this movie. Speaking of boys, one of the thoughts I had as it relates to the specifically kind of the four men and the like Luca's remake, thinking about how many famous people are in this movie and how many men were like kind of right at the brink of
at their bubble,
really big,
of being really big, and how like we don't know who that other guy is, right? Like that didn't happen for everyone, but there are quite a few people in here who did, and I kind of wonder to what extent. Luca's got some pull. He can get some. He could probably get some big guys in there.
Trying to think.
He's scouting. He's scouting some not yet broken out, but about to break out.
Get both of the Challengers guys.
In that Alex Garland war movie that looks horrible and imperialistic. Like, just get all those guys into this.
This is Black Hawk Down 2 for me. I'm seeing it.
I've heard from film critics I trust, and I hate Civil War, but I've heard from
I fucking love Civil War. You're an idiot.
Some
I
film critics I trust
Civil War, so we could team up.
Yeah, because you're an idiot.
I was on the edge, and then I read there was an Entertainment Weekly interview that came out last week, I think, between Ray Mendoza, who's the like Iraq War vet that co-directed it, and Alex Garland, and everything they said in it was made me like, no, thank you. Everything I thought I could hear about this movie, I feel absolutely confirmed, and I have zero interest in it.
Yeah.
So
nonsense. Please note she's not talking about Civil War. Talking about.
war
Okay. I just wanted for the fucking record.
Okay, just a film critic I trust said like I was so skeptical, but this thing rules. But remains to be seen.
Well, if you're an
I've liked his movies in the
action
past.
slut like you, then maybe it'll just be good for that.
That's what they call them.
We just talked about this too. Like, I think it's really hard to make movies about American war, especially after World War II because we're the bad guys in all of them. If the story is told right. So that kind of makes all war movies problematic in a way, but like occasionally there's just a banger. Like I think we just talking about how much like Black Hawk Down rules. Like I love that movie. I am, it's really jingoistic and kind of fucked up in propaganda in that sense, but it's a cool action movie, and So you know what? Warfare, my values mean nothing. I'm seeing that shit.
No, I know.
Just pirate it, and then you did nothing wrong, right?
Yeah.
No, one of my favorite movies, hesitate to say this, is Zero Dark 30, which is
to go, Matt.
Which is like literal CIA propaganda.
It's actual literal.
But it's like, but it's so good though. So I don't know what to think.
Well, and I think
you can like things that are bad. You can like things that are made by bad people. And
once again, we are stuck for 20 minutes on the fucking title card, Matt. Can we move to scene 2? Christ.
Can I say though, I'm so sorry to keep you stuck there, but I think it is important to note just over the last 25 years, what is going on exactly with Justin Theroux's hairline? Because
this has to be a merkin that just happens to be on his head. That's a vagina wig.
Like, this is his hairline. Because
that is insane.
He appears.
That is the Black Hawk Down.
Something is going on because he's appeared in things after this and before with a much fuller, lusher head of hair. So I don't know if he's just a wig boy or like if like The Leftovers on HBO.
Yeah, I was gonna say he has a different hairline.
He's a much different hairline in The Leftovers.
Yeah, he's just very close.
Investigating.
No, but this has been a years-long project for my wife and I, is because
I need a timeline.
He pops
of
up
the
on
hairline.
We note the hairline because we're like, well, okay, because The Leftovers, it was airing at the same time as he had an arc on Parks and Rec. And his arc on Parks and Rec, his hairline is very much like this, but even receded a little bit more because it's like 15 years later. But then his hair on The Leftovers is very full and lush. So something's going on here.
Is it?
We got to get to the bottom of this.
You have face and hair blindness,
That's true.
my love. You don't know.
If you'd ask me, I would say he's bald on The Leftovers. And The Leftovers is my favorite show.
It's both of our favorite shows. So
now that you mention, I'm like, no, I guess he does have hair.
Be on the lookout for the Load Bearing Beams mini-series about The Leftovers. Just saying.
Oh, yes. I love The Leftovers.
Me too.
Well, great. You can be our guest.
So,
what happens in minute 2 of the movie is this.
Yes.
Sorry.
They go to a nightclub and it's no longer accepting drink tickets. And then he does what Craig does to every bartender he encounters and says, I want to bathe in your blood, you bitch. And she doesn't appear
Listen, I said people when it's loud. I don't necessarily reserve it for bartenders. Anybody can get it.
You say, I love lamp or I want to bathe in your blood.
And all the go-go dancers have guns.
Yes, but they're squatting a lot. I'm thinking about their thighs the next day. All that squatting, all the getting up, and then the going down. Women as props, am I right? All right.
I mean, I guess it's a boring question, but like right away the movie's like, so is he really saying this or not?
No, he's not saying it.
I know. I want to get everybody.
I'm going to answer every question you've got, rhetorical or not.
Get everybody's perspective on what is really happening, and does it matter if it's happening or not?
Well, he's an unreliable narrator, so
I just take everything that is happening literally, knowing that he's an unreliable narrator, and the story is 100% from him. So like I'm taking it all literally in the sense of like he's our point of contact, I guess.
Right. We got to go with what he's
violent, regardless of what his behavior
and like
right.
Clearly like there's some shit that he did do and some shit that he didn't do, but like regardless this is his mindset. So like I think it would be hard to parse which of the like fucked up things he said were real and which ones were not.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I guess I kind of think nothing. Well,
no, because of the part with the man in the alley and the part with the cat. There's just all these when he's alone. I don't know. I think it's impossible to know
because there's moments where it's staged like nobody's reacting to him when he says these things. Like the doorman doesn't notice that he's dragging a body out of the building.
No, that's not true. That's just like what wealth can get you. When you look perfect like that and you live and you have that suit on, you can just carry a body out. Yeah. I think it's a lot about that. But but the ATM part, right? He gets busted by the woman, but then he shoots that woman. But then he probably didn't kill that woman, and then that's when he's like really breaking with it. Reality. Who knows, Matt? Minute 2. Fuck.
Okay, so now it's the next morning. He takes us through his morning fitness and skincare routine. As I said,
if you one that I do.
I can tell you're glowing.
Well,
It's giving Brian Johnson.
Yes, he's not going to die. This man. That's his son. That Les Mis poster. That's his son.
He definitely records his nighttime boners.
Right? You gotta go by girth, not length.
Well, it's just so you can get the data, so you can look back at the end of the year, my year in boners, and like see were there any corresponding factors. What was I eating at this time? What was my mindset? Was I exercising?
What were my
regularly?
YEBs for 2014?
Yeah,
year in boners. I'm just
hey babe, what were the year in boners? Babe? So
get a YEB count.
In the book, it's super exhausting how many brand names he lists, but that's also
the point.
The point. And like, sort of a commentary on, in movies, people are always going into a bar and saying, I'll have a beer, when in reality they say, I'll have a Miller Lite. So the book's like, what if he actually just names actual brand names? The movie has a lot less of the brand naming, but still just products. I got nothing but products. And I put on an ice mask, and then I take off a mask. This whole movie is about the masks we wears.
You know who else wears masks? Matt.
Leatherface.
Sweet babies with autism. I'm just saying he is not a neurotypical person, and he's misunderstood. And I will begin my case soon.
Okay. And so he's describing all the products he uses. And this, 1987, we are now fully like, the only point of American life is the way we consume, the way we construct an identity is in the consumer choices we make. And so that's all there is. And then he gives the speech, there is no Patrick Bateman. It's just a mask I wear. There's nothing. There's an idea of a Patrick Bateman. I simply am not there.
He's just disconnected. He can't connect. He's not in the right space for it. They would not understand this in the 80s.
What would they not understand? Do you want to just get into it?
No, I don't.
Okay.
I don't even know that I will. I'm so sick of talking about it with you over the last 2 days.
Yeah.
I don't even like my theory anymore.
It's 1987. It's Manhattan. He goes into the office listening to music in his headphones, and people are talking to him, but he doesn't hear because he's in his headphones, which I would never do. I would never walk around a public place.
Autism.
With my headphones.
Not you.
I mean, I go to the grocery store, but...
Yeah, Matt's lying.
I can't go anywhere without...
Matt fucks with his headphones.
No,
I didn't want to say anything when you were talking about Leo. I'm kidding.
I would never. No. But almost everything else, yes.
To be fair, it's me having sex noises in the headphones, but they're not in real time. They're just they're just the best, my greatest hits. You don't want me to disappoint.
You're not going to get better.
Stimulating stimulation.
Yeah. So he's wearing his big headphones. We meet Jean, his assistant, played by Chloe Sevigny. Sevigny. Who can help me here?
It's Sevigny. No one is going to disagree with me.
I don't know it. I mean,
I was so confident.
The anti-queen of pronunciation.
Yeah, you just swallow the last few letters and you say it right. Seven.
Close.
Yeah.
He's on lithium, you guys.
The book and the movie make a big point. Not 1 second, not 1 millisecond will you see him doing any actual work. His secretary comes to him with all of his appointments, and they're all just his his appointments at his health club and his spa and all the dinners and lunches he has to attend. And then once she leaves, he turns on the TV and watches Jeopardy. Before telling her not to wear that outfit again, wear a dress or a skirt or something. You're prettier than that. And she says, thanks, Patrick.
Oh, Patrick.
I think there's some interesting stuff with her, like that character, and specifically the reason that he doesn't kill her later on. That I don't know. She seems to hold like some sort of power over him that I can never quite put my finger on, but I like it.
She's empathetic. She has not risen to the very top. She is not completely awash with all this facade. And she's real, and she's trying to see him. She asks him if he's okay. She's the only person in the entire movie that asks him how he is, and that's what somebody who's not connecting with people, who feels completely distant and misunderstood, needs to hear. And the more when he interacts with people who are down to earth, that's when you see his humanity. That's all he needs. He needs to not have been the son of the man who owns fucking Pierce & Pierce.
That's true. Yeah, she's not trying to get something from him. She's not trying to one up him or anything.
No, she's just curious about him, asks about him.
I will say, and I'm sorry, Lacey, because this might shoot your theory that he's a misunderstood little boy down, is that I also think that maybe he is like, he's confounded by her because he like doesn't find her sexually attractive, like, or at least like he could, but like he wants to, he's trying to like dominate her early on in the movie by like telling her to wear something else or whatever. And later and like throughout the movie, like criticizes her and like for things that aren't necessarily like feminine enough or serving him enough. And I think there's something about the fact that like she doesn't recognize him as the like masculine man that he so desperately wants to be is what like transfixes him about her. I don't know.
She pines over him, and I think he totally knows that from the beginning. I think he knows that she has feelings and a crush on him. So,
but they are for not like totally shallow reasons. She, even though there's no Patrick Bateman, she seems to really like him as a person.
She talks to him like a person, and I feel like he doesn't interact with anyone in his daily life. I mean, he completely designs his life around never running into anyone beneath him.
I also think she likes the status of him more than him.
Exactly, and at
the same time, I don't know if she necessarily like she doesn't know instinctually like what to do to please him, and he I think gets frustrated by that, but to a degree that I don't know. There's a theory that I feel like I'm working out in my head now, and it sounds stupid. I have a lot of those.
No, go for it.
But yeah, like there's just something I don't know. This takeaway. I really like the scenes with Chloe Sevigny in this. I just thought she was great, especially the scene with the nail gun. Really good in that scene.
Yeah, she's and again, I didn't finish the book, but Chloe just gives her so much more life than she had on the page. Not that she's a totally two-dimensional character in the book, but just she's way more fully realized here. But then we meet Reese Witherspoon, who I would have paid $1 billion was not in this movie, but she's in this movie as his quote fiance unquote,
and she's way more freaking perfect looking than Courtney. That doesn't make any sense when he says that. Sorry.
No, sorry. I thought you were saying I said that.
No. It's just that he immediately then says that Courtney's almost perfect looking, and I'm looking at her and I see no difference.
Yeah, I'm not into Evelyn. She's like a Reese Witherspoon type.
I like gross.
And she's like she keeps buzzing in my ear while I'm trying to listen to my tunes, and she's talking about our wedding plans.
That's why she's not the perfect woman. And Courtney is, because Courtney is drugged out and will just passively.
There you go.
Whatever. Yeah.
No buzz. Always buzzed, but will not buzz in your ear.
Well, because he's obsessed with having the highest of status symbols, and Evelyn is the creme de la creme. And everyone has good things to say about Evelyn, and he just wants to fit in. He wants her, but he doesn't want to marry her. He doesn't even want to be with her. He just wants to have the status of her. So yeah, she's not perfect.
And she doesn't want him either. She just wants to plan a wedding. She's like super excited about that.
Fuck off.
What?
You don't know her.
I don't. Do we have any indication she likes him?
We know she likes that hot piece, Justin Theroux.
Well, I mean, because like he says later on, like, you're just not that important to me. And I get the sense like it's true of her too. They're not actually like.
Yeah, she's having a completely different relationship with him. She's got pet names for him. She seems to really know him really well in her own mind. She's always like so familiar with him.
I said they could both do better.
But that's the thing. They're in such a small bubble. They really can't. Like, there's only so many prestigious people who can get a freaking reservation at Dorsey. Not that he can't, but
could be better.
He's close. And it's just like they're in such. They've really boxed themselves in.
They could do better for each other. They could do the work.
They really should.
Matt.
Let's make that work. Hey, let's talk about this rather than put on Huey Lewis in the news. Let's talk about this situation. That would be a really
I'm
good
right here.
Yeah. Also, we comment on this at the beginning, but that 90-minute David Cronenberg version, Jesus Christ, I would kill for that.
I know. So maybe this is a good movie to remake.
I just want to say also, I had this thought while we're talking about that. I'm sorry, I know this is like 30 minutes in the past, but it's very funny to me, the idea that he was like, no, we can't have any restaurant scenes.
I love that.
Though, because one of my favorite movies of all time, and certainly my favorite Cronenberg, is Dead Ringers, where there are multiple scenes in fancy
That's
restaurants.
true.
Maybe he was
And
just
they're
sick
great.
of it. He didn't want to be the restaurant guy. You know?
He said
very pipital scene.
That
occurs
came out in
restaurant.
1988, so
he didn't want to get pigeonholed.
Between
no, but you're right. Yes. 6 years later, A History of Violence, some of the best diner footage you'll ever see. Yeah. But Cronenberg, he was like, no, I think
in between those two films.
he had a bad plate of fish.
That's exactly it. He got a very bad plate of food.
He got a bad plate of food. He got the stomach.
Also,
what is going
Scanners
on in Canada?
Scanners, one of the best mall food courts of all time.
True.
But he literally said, like, no, it's boring. Shooting in restaurants and nightclubs is boring.
But what's left? So we've got department stores and parks.
You got
I've listed it all.
That's it, yeah. and that medical clinic where the Brood lives.
Okay.
Anyway, they arrive at Espace, and Patrick Bateman says in the narration, he's like, relief watches over me in an awesome wave because we have a good table. And so they're meeting Reese Witherspoon's artist cousin and Justin Theroux, and then some other people we meet.
It's the same fucking people.
Matt Ross as Lewis and his fiance Evelyn, who is best friend. Courtney, who is best friends with Evelyn.
Fucking each other. That's their circle is so goddamn small.
Right.
Never be a debutante or whatever the fuck these are.
Whatever they are. Yeah.
A yuppie taunt.
Justin Theroux like starts lecturing the ladies. He's like, you don't think about important things like I do, like what's going on in Sri Lanka. Do you know how many Sikhs the Israelis are killing over there?
That line got a huge pop for me. It's a really funny line.
It is. Very Reddit coded too, that guy, like before Reddit.
Mashing shit together.
Yeah.
Yes, there were no Sikhs.
Mashup.
Well, I'm sure there were Sikhs, but it was not Sikhs and it was not Israelis. And then so Bateman responds and he's like, I hardly think the worst problem in the world is Sri Lanka.
Yeah, he says it different. Sri Lanka.
And then he gives this monologue that is basically like, I guess it's like a super like New York Times like editorial, like we need to work on lowering the national deficit while also instilling American values, while also at the same time protecting our veterans.
You're not going to do the whole thing, are you?
I'm not going to do
okay.
the whole thing. But two things. One, I guess the thing is like, he's like, what would I just want to fit in with these guys, but I also want to let them know I'm elevated like 10% above you. I'm a little deeper than all of you.
But that is fitting in. They're always fucking dick measuring, and it's all with the cards on the table. You know how the printing business cards is a booming industry in this fucking neighborhood because they're always needing to have.
I think that he thinks I will distinguish myself by being the guy who cares about current events and important stuff.
Because he's the guy that's got the photographic memory. He can record an entire script in his head because scripting is a part of having autism.
Okay.
I think it's lampooning noblesse oblige attitude, where like the upper class thinks that they are the smartest and should be the most empowered to solve all of the world's problems, and that in fact the burden of solving the world's problems rests on their shoulders because the proletariat are too fucking stupid to solve the problems themselves. So I think that's also, regardless of whether or not that's like a deeply held belief that the character is supposed to have, I think that's what he's reflecting, is this idea of like the rich person, which is a very, power elite, New York Times, NPR listening idea of like, well, I know the solution to all of these things because I am imbued with some extra special sauce that no one else has.
Exactly. Yeah.
I also think it's just the fit in thing. He's like regurgitating what he heard on NPR because I think that even like when his music reviews, like they all sound so rehearsed. And I think there's I don't know. Can I jump ahead to the Willem Dafoe part? So there's a scene in this that I really think is like what Christian Bale does so well is there's like maybe 2 or 3 times where the mask starts to slip and he's like falling apart. And I think like the real Patrick Bateman kind of comes out a little bit. And there's one line that always just struck me as funny, but now I feel like maybe this is his real opinion because it's when like Willem Dafoe his alibis are like kind of crumbling a little bit. And Willem Dafoe is putting pressure on him and he's asking him about music. And I forget who he says he asked.
Huey Lewis.
No,
Huey
it's
Lewis.
Oh yeah. It is Huey Lewis because
and
his
he had just had
response
this
is he panically says like, "I don't like them. They sound too black for me," which is like, I always thought that was like a weird joke, but now I feel like that is Patrick Bateman. Like I think he, at his core, probably thinks Huey Lewis is too spicy and he actually hates them. But like
Huey Lewis,
in that like moment of panic, he like breaks and says,
betrays who he really is. Yes.
Yeah.
Which is Huey Lewis is too black. Huey Lewis, my dad's favorite artist.
Well, I mean, they're pretty cool.
I love Huey Lewis.
And I don't know if you know, Matt, but it's okay to kind of be a dork.
It's hip to be square.
Sorry?
It's hip to be square.
It's hip to be square.
I feel like I heard that somewhere.
No.
Yeah.
No, you probably haven't heard it because it's underground music that you've never heard of.
Before he says that about, well, the first thing he says is, I don't really like singers, which I don't
like
that
singers.
is a really funny way to say that.
He goes over to the dry cleaners. He's trying to get his sheets, which are covered in blood. He's trying to get them dry cleaned. And the dry cleaners are like giving him guff about it. And he's just screaming at them. And he's like, I can't get him to listen to sense. And then this woman walks in who knows him, and he's like, "Hey, lady, you talk some sense in the cleaners.
This is woman's stuff,
right? I got a lunch appointment at whatever, and I'll call you." And she's like, "Oh, okay." And she seems really, really thrilled.
Right.
Then
he's the upper echelon. Mm-hmm.
Then he is on the phone with Courtney. Courtney is the one who is Reese Witherspoon's best friend, and she's engaged to the Matt Ross character. While he's talking to her on the phone, Patrick Bateman has graphic porn playing in the background while reading the back of a VHS box of porn.
Just like the QAnon guy who drives.
Of Ron Watkins,
who just drives with porn. But again, autism, it's like this need for hyper stimulation. He's stimulation seeking. Mm-hmm. And this is another example of when I have proof he has autism. He is trying on the pumpkin idea. Pumpkin, like you can just tell it's like a kid who's like, this is something I heard someone say. I like this lady. She's pumpkin. And she does not respond to it.
You're pumpkin. Well,
and it really upsets him because it's like, fuck, I was trying to think.
Felt good about that. I'll give it a few more tries. Pumpkin. No, I told you not to call me pumpkin.
He read it wrong. He read the situation wrong. Story of his life.
So like, he's
this bitch is going to Barcadia, lithiumed up.
So he's like, no, we're going.
It's got arcades and it's got pizza. I'm telling you, Craig. You haven't lived. You haven't lived.
Comet ping pong. I heard you mention QAnon. If you guys want to talk about that later, we can have a conversation.
Go in the basement.
I can show you the truth.
I
would love to go to Comet Ping Pong. It really sounds. It sounds
like a place we went to.
Yeah, it does. But I can tell you, they don't really have a whole sense of humor about that whole thing anymore.
No, they don't think it's funny when people start showing up.
The aforementioned Doughboys, of course, did an episode where they reviewed Comet Ping Pong. They reviewed the pizza.
Awesome.
Is it a chain or is it just the one?
They broke their rule.
Okay.
So, it's like we're going on a date tonight, even though she is sick. But once he says
she's not sick, she's depressed.
I think she has a cold.
No, she doesn't.
Okay,
she's
whatever.
Depressed.
We're going to Dorsia. And Dorsia is the hot restaurant. Dorsia, sorry. And he's like, yeah, I got a reservation. She's like, really? That's so hard to get. He's like, yeah, no problem. He hangs up and instantly calls. He's like, can I have a reservation to Dorsia? And they just laugh at him.
That's how he experiences interactions all the time. That's
me too. This is why I don't make phone calls.
I know, but it's a social cue thing.
That is kind of how I think everybody is going to be at me on the phone when I don't know something and have to call like anywhere. I do feel that intense feeling immediately.
Absolutely. I start every phone call like to a stranger where I have to ask something. I'm like apologizing. I am over explaining.
Autism is social anxiety, not knowing the rules.
In the car on the way, Courtney is like she is drunkenly / drug inducedly talking about her day. She's like, I went to the pottery
Elizabeth
bar.
Arden. It was very relaxing.
Before finally saying, I just want a child. She's just two perfect children.
She's deeply depressed and she's engaged to a man who's closeted.
Uh-huh.
Her life fucking sucks.
Yes.
She is what all the women have even less to do in this fucking society. They can't be like business career people. That's not sexy. That doesn't get you to the top. It's even more empty for them.
Like the collateral damage of the men that we see in actually all the women in the movie are the collateral damage of the men we see. But like Courtney is like the one that we spend the most time with. And so she's got kind of the saddest arc.
Mm-hmm. Yes. she wakes up and it's Barcadia. He's like, yeah, we're totally at Dorsia. She's like, oh, okay. And then he pulls up the menu and it says Barcadia. Tells her what she's going to order and regurgitates like a New York Magazine restaurant review because everything is just, I read this in a thing and now I will perfectly quote it. Okay, so we're at the office and Jared Leto as this Paul Allen character we keep hearing about sees Bateman and he's like, oh, hello, Halberstram. And Bateman on the voiceover explains that he has been mistaken for Marcus Halberstram, which makes sense because they look exactly alike. They do the same job and go to the same barber and wear the same clothes. But instead of correcting him, he decides he's going to go along with it for some reason. And Jared Leto gives his business card to Justin Theroux, and then we get the famous scene of them all just showing their business cards to each other. And like, I get that the joke is that they all look the same. What are we supposed to? What do you think about this, Hal? Are we supposed to like appreciate that there are differences in the cards?
Yeah, controversial opinion. Patrick Bateman's card is best because of the weight and color of the paper.
Ooh, I should have gotten the screenshot of all of the cards. Or
all the other cards have the paper has like a texture to the card stock. I just think his looks best. So.
Because we both, Lacey and I both do graphic design, and I've designed so many business cards. And I like that. Lacey, do you have an opinion on who has the best business card? No.
As a graphic designer,
yes,
I think all of the font is too close to the edges. None of them have it. Look at the bottom row.
They're all designed the same.
No,
they're just
I know,
on different.
and the bottom row margin is atrocious. So they all have the same mistakes. The texture is the best on the final card you see.
Hal says that Patrick has the best business card.
No, he doesn't.
No, he doesn't.
The all caps last name is fucking crazy. It looks like Batman. So calling his shot.
It's very European, first of all.
Yep.
Yes, that's how Europeans, right?
Don't
particularly
like
French people, write their last name is in all capital.
All caps? I didn't know that. Oh, these friggin' French people with their all caps last names and their 3-hour work days. Got to talk some sense into them. So, Craig, do you have an opinion about the business cards? Who has the best business card?
The one that that's got that looks like it's threaded.
Yep. It was Paul Allen's.
I don't like.
You didn't like that one?
Yeah, I don't care for the texture of the paper.
I will tell you, in my memory, this
see who's got the little higher end. I think we know who would get the reservation at Dorsia. Is all I'm saying.
Yeah.
In my memory, this was them.
You can win the big dinner reservation contest.
Yeah, we can do it. Maybe a bonus episode. We all try to get a reservation at a restaurant tonight.
Wow.
In my memory, this was them all printing their own business cards on spec for a job that they are all trying to get. But now I realize, the joke is that they're all vice presidents. There's like 35 vice presidents in this company.
Yeah.
They're interchangeable.
And in my experience, you're not allowed to just go print your own business card on whatever card stock you want. They want that to be uniform.
Okay.
They do. They want that to be uniform.
I've never had a business. No, that's not true. I did have a business card. I just never used them. One time.
Just said teacher.
But it keeps the institution I work for keeps printing me new business cards. Like the timing of it is horrible. They keep like printing them and then promoting me like 3 months later. Which
nice
great problem to have.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry.
That doesn't like keep happening in short order, but it does create a situation where I'm like, because I am sustainability oriented,
right? I'm just like, scratching out the. We're going to repurpose these.
I got the university did an entire new rebranding at the end of last year and gave everybody new business cards, and it was a big deal because they did it for the entire university at one time. So it was a lot of money. And then I was promoted in January and I'm like, well,
these are now tiny thank you cards. Flip it over. Thank you for.
They make excellent bookmarks. That's mainly what I've used all of my business cards.
Your business cards are in all the books.
Yeah. They are. Yeah.
I always thought it would be funny to carry business cards, but just when you meet people, that just says just my name with nothing on it and no context.
Right.
Because I just thought it's fun to carry a business card, and I never have had reason to. But
people always want to ask for that.
Dude,
can I just?
I know. I hate
text
that.
you?
Yeah. Like, you ain't got a phone? What happened to that?
QR code tattooed right here.
If you had a business card that was just your name, people would assume you're the biggest fucking deal in the universe.
That's like the wolf in freaking
Pulp Fiction.
Pulp Fiction just says the wolf.
Yeah.
I would assume that you're a drug dealer, to be honest. That's the vibe it gives off.
I just
have to use numerology to figure out how your name is actually your number.
Craig. Boom. Craig.
Boom.
So Patrick, he is
Patrick Bateman.
Patrick Bateman is very depressed at seeing business cards that are superior to his own. And so he yells at poor Matt Ross. And on the way home, he's despondent over this business card news. And he runs into a homeless man played by Reggie Cathy. And he, taunts him and acts like he's going to give him some money. But he just lectures him. He's like, if you're so hungry, why don't you get a job?
I can't watch this scene.
I can't.
I
can't watch it.
This is the only scene where when it came on, I was like, nope, I don't want to watch this. I fast forwarded through that one.
I can't handle.
And just, Don Trump Jr. has done this like 50 times. Is lectured somebody like this. I lost my job. He's like, well, why?
Matt,
insider trading.
He skipped the scene. Why don't we skip it?
Oh, okay.
Why are you going to verbatim say it to him?
No, I'm not saying that. No, I've seen it a bunch. I just mean it's the one that's like the most.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And it is definitely rings the most true of assholes that just don't give a shit and like see the people below them as, their playthings or whatever. It's just the cruelty of it is just.
The line, I would just like to raise one of the lines he says in it because I think it, gets to the core of the scene, which is he says, I don't have anything in common with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Steven, that's why I think, and this person obviously has a something going on. You could read it as autism. This person just is suffering from it in a much more outward way. They don't have money. They are a person of color. And I think of it as Patrick Bateman talking to himself and trying to convince himself that he has nothing in common with this person. When I feel he feels just as excluded and adrift as this person does.
Oh, okay. That's interesting. Yes. A different set of circumstances were presented before me, I would be in this exact same situation.
I think it's self-talk for him. I think he's trying to convince himself he has nothing in common with him when he might as well just be in an alley.
I think it's also maybe a juxtaposition of this guy, this person experiencing homelessness that's been isolated from society with the juxtaposition of Patrick, who's like sees himself as like the paradigm of society, but in reality has isolated himself from everyone else.
Right. And in fact, born into a place where he was always going to be isolated.
Yeah, for sure.
And then making the decision to be as destructive to society as he possibly can be. And then in the end of the movie, learning there will be no consequences for it.
It sucks to figure out you were born on the finish line. What is there to do? You can't even get in trouble. That's not fucking fun.
I love the last line of the movie. I feel like it's an underrated last line of the movie. This confession has meant nothing. Or something very similar to that. Now we have the mistletoe party.
What a screenshot.
Love it.
Perfect.
It's Evelyn's Christmas party. She's carrying a Christmas pig named Snowball, and Patrick is just disgusted by it. And this is where Patrick talks to Paul Allen. He talks to Jared Leto and lets Jared Leto continue to think that he is Halberstram. This thing that recurs to the movie is people not knowing who Patrick Bateman actually is, mistaking him for other people. But Bateman, he likes that. So he's like, yes, we should have dinner. It's like, and will you be bringing Cecilia? Oh, Cecilia, we'll see about that. They have their dinner. They meet at this sort of Louisiana themed family restaurant.
A place where they will not be seen.
Right. By anybody they know. And Paul Allen is just so disgusted to be there. This place is so empty here. But they start talking, and Bateman asks Paul, how'd you get the Fisher account? And he says, well, I could tell you, but then I'd have to kill you. And he starts guffawing. So I think, is this like Paul is the empty shell of a person that Patrick is trying to be?
Yes.
This is like the model.
It's a successful shell.
Yeah. Of what I am trying to recreate with Patrick Bateman, the character.
Yeah. Paul's just Patrick Bateman without the homicide, but the same thing. I think Mary Harron is really good at this movie. And I just like when movies do this, that I feel like so often movies forget that comedy is not just the spoken words, but you can use the camera and the framing and the editing. And this movie does that really well. But the funniest laugh out loud part I have every time is when they're in the restaurant and it's like seeming like, oh, he's gonna kill Jared Leto, isn't he? And like Jared Leto's so oblivious to it, and then a hard cut to him on the chair with all the newspapers,
the Dexter arrangement.
He hasn't figured it out yet, and it just, God damn it, that one gets me every time.
And I always
this whole scene, it's all very oh God damn it. Reservoir Dogs. Yeah. The dancing with the...
Oh, yeah.
It really is, yeah. But I always think I don't like Jared Leto, and then I remember, like, no, if he's an ass, if he's a piece of asshole, shit, like, he's wonderful. I love him in his few scenes Leto, here.
But I don't like him as a person in general, right. I feel like. And most times as an actor.
Right.
But I think he's pretty good in this.
Right. People are excited about the new Tron movie, and I'm like, but Jared Leto.
He seems like pussy posse material.
In a Tron movie? Wait, there's a new Tron movie and Jared Leto?
You don't know about the new Tron movie?
Matt loves to scoop people. He just scooped you a big one.
That's
Matt's favorite.
It's called Tron Ares, and it stars Jared Leto. So that's how you know you shouldn't be that excited.
Wait, when are they going to have it come out?
Tron
February.
Ares.
Is that Ares?
What? No, just because it's like a dump month.
Oh.
It's taking a big
now they feel
dump.
good about it for whatever reason.
Aries is April. Well, I mean, it's
late March, early April.
Right. It's all of the signs straddle.
Oh, that's good.
Idiot. That's how you have a rising.
I trust you on that.
Don't.
Who else is in that movie that Jared Leto is going to like?
It's him. It's a one-man show, and that's it.
They got the Jeff Bridges doing the legacy sequel character, like, I'm from the first movie, and here I am to tell you something.
All right.
Wow.
I don't know. Anyway, Paul is getting steadily more drunk as Patrick is not. And this is, when he says like, hey, that loser Patrick Bateman. So we start to get the sense. Everybody thinks Patrick Bateman's a dork and a loser and an inept piece of shit. We cut then that great cut to Patrick's apartment with the newspaper laid out on the floor, all the furniture covered in
the style section. I just want to point out that it's specifically the style. He even gave him the bougiest side up to the man he's about to kill.
Gotcha. And he starts giving him the monologue, the music monologue. And I think this is like if your entire life is just consumption, it's just my relationship to consumer products. It's like, well, yeah, CDs, you purchase a CD, that's a product, but you're consuming the art of Huey Lewis in the news. But his relationship to it is just, I read a review in Rolling Stone and now I shall regurgitate it. The most like banal analysis is like, they really came into their own commercially and creatively. And as Hip to Be Square comes on, Jared Leto looks at him and he's like, is that a raincoat? And he's like, well, yes, it is, Alan. And then starts axing the shit out of him while shouting, try getting a reservation at Dorsia now, you stupid bastard. And then he is dragging the body out of the building and either does or does not get noticed by the doorman at the bottom of the apartment. And he's loading the body into the trunk of the car when his friend Lewis comes up and he's like, hey, what are you doing there, Patrick? And he's like, nothing. And he's like, wait a minute, what's that you've got there? That's a beautiful bag. Womp womp. And then Patrick goes to Paul's apartment and he's like, there is a moment of sheer panic when I realize Paul's apartment overlooks the park. It's obviously more expensive than mine. So he packs Paul's suitcase with clothes, leaves an outgoing message on the machine that he ends by saying, hasta la vista, baby, even though Terminator 2 won't come out for 4 years.
He's cultured.
However, in that movie, they make it sound like hasta la vista, baby is a thing people are saying. So maybe.
You weren't there.
I love that voicemail that he does. Yeah, my king. Sorry, I just saw who's on the screen.
Well, he's looking at Willem Dafoe. The most beautiful face in cinema.
I can see him. Oh, you're not talking to me.
I'm talking to the people listening.
I always forget.
I love Willem Dafoe so much.
I do too.
Always jokingly say the greatest working actor, but I think I believe that he might be my favorite. Like he is so good in everything. Even the rare shit movie that he's in, he elevates. I love him.
It's a great choice, and I think he's literally only in 2, maybe 3 scenes of this movie.
He's like Gene Hackman that way.
2 in the office and then the diner.
Gene Hackman can also just add gravitas to anything he does. So
yeah. He's the Gene Hackman who's still alive. I'd say Ed Harris is the Gene Hackman who's still alive.
Okay, I'll accept.
All right, but we'll put Willem Dafoe. Willem Dafoe is a little weirder to be in that category.
But Willem Dafoe is also a fucking delight and a sweetheart. So you can't put him in the crank category at all.
That's true. Yeah, he's not often cranky.
He's not a crank. No, I mean in real life, not a crank.
Yeah.
Not hard to work with. Okay.
He plays this private investigator who was hired by Jared Leto's fiance to track him down or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes to Bateman's office, starts talking to him, and then as Craig said, like, this is where these very basic questions are causing Bateman's like cool mask to slip, and he's kind of stumbling around.
But it gives the effect of what the actual mask in the very beginning has. He isn't just sweating on his forehead. The movie's very specifically making his entire face glisten as though it is wearing that mask again.
Yeah.
Every time Willem Dafoe shows up, his face gets sweatier and like
wet.
more oily.
Yes.
I think Willem Dafoe is incredible in this movie. He carries the weight of the is this real or not, I think. Mm-hmm. Because he plays it on such a razor's edge of like, I still don't know. Wait, does the Willem Dafoe character really not suspect Patrick Bateman, or like have those been like coincidental like jokes? And Willem Dafoe, like, you keep thinking he's gonna like wink and be like, yeah, I know I'm asking a pointed question here, and then he pulls back and he's just constantly walking that line that is like, those scenes are fucking great because he's so good at that.
Mm-hmm. Right. We'll never really know. Was he ever in trouble?
Because what, a good detective, a good interrogator would do is make you try to get your guard down by making you think like, yeah, this is just some guy. He just disappeared. I just need to ask you some questions.
Also, does he exist at all? Because in this scenario, I mean, Paul Allen didn't disappear. He just went to London.
Right.
Like for real.
So what Mary Harron told him did multiple takes. In one take, you suspect Bateman. In the next take, you don't. And then in the final edit, she would alternate between takes. So you're literally seeing Dafoe playing him as both suspecting Bateman and not suspecting Bateman.
Yeah.
I've never seen Dafoe acting like that except for in Green Lantern.
Green Lantern?
Right? Isn't he playing two different kinds of people?
Wait, Dafoe is in Green Lantern?
In Spider-Man.
What am I thinking of?
Green Goblin in Spider-Man.
Green Goblin!
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Yeah,
I did a dyslexia. Thank you for decoding. Yes. When he's talking and
excited at the same time.
I do think his performance in this is pretty close to his performance as Green Goblin, to be honest.
There's like Harry Osborn.
Yeah,
Harry Osborn.
Right, when he's talking in the mirror.
His portrayal is pretty similar.
A little bit. Yeah, he's really good at playing that guy like on the edge of
well, it has that kind of like professionalism, like the way he talks and enunciates is similar between the roles, and they're not really far apart in time.
Yeah,
no, like back to back. Yeah. Like, when's the last time you saw Paul Allen Spider-Man? So Patrick is at his home doing his exercises in front of the TV, watching Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And this movie, when I saw that, I was like, I wonder if that's an intentional reference to another horror movie. And then later when Bateman is chasing the lady with the chainsaw and going, I was like, maybe it isn't.
Yeah.
I connected those dots successfully in my head. So he picks up a sex worker on the side of the road, says, you are Christy. I shall call you Christy and you shall call me Paul.
He loves a blonde with bangs. Those two blondes with bangs are the two that see him in a way. Like I don't think he wanted to kill that sex worker. You will notice there are multiple moments where she is looking at him in like the way that Jean does. Just like trying to figure him out.
And she's like the only other character who the movie will temporarily take her perspective.
Yes. Like she's stopping. She's not on drugs. She's not go. She's just a working person, and like she takes a beat to just kind of like absorb what's everyone else is so out of it. Mm-hmm. Her and Jean are in it in a way the rest of the people and Kimball, but even he seems in a fantasy sometimes
these
too.
Sort of outsiders. Like, I'm trying to assess the situation and calculate what's really going on here. Am I in danger or not? Bateman calls an escort service and asks for someone who does couples, and he orders a blonde. And then when he sees her, he's like, not quite blonde, are you? More dirty blonde.
Strawberry blonde.
Strawberry. It's not even dirty.
Yeah. That's the phrase he uses.
He sits them both down in the apartment and he's like, well, don't you want to know what I do? And they're like, no, not really. Well, I work on Wall Street, Pierce & Pierce. You ever heard of it? No. And he's like, well, fuck. So he turns on Phil Collins, starts lecturing about Genesis, and Phil Collins lectures about the lyrical craftsmanship as he takes out his video camera and starts filming them. And they're having sex, and he is like looking at himself in the mirror and posing and doing, flexing and stuff as Susudio plays, and then they all fall asleep, and Patrick wakes up and he's like, I forgot to do my thing with my clothes hanger and my other tools.
I forgot to torture them. We got so sleepy.
Sometimes you forget.
Yeah.
So it cuts to them leaving the apartment with the visible marks on them, and they just grab
and like
their money and run
distressed too. Like
Yes.
I forgot her name, but yeah, very, very visibly distressed. And she's so tragic too, because she like is clearly one of the only ones that can in the movie who experiences him and can vocalize like what kind of a person he is. And then she comes, and then like he's aware that she's, you know, down and out or whatever, and coaxes her back. Oh,
Right.
Yeah. So sad.
Yeah. He meets up with the guys at the cigar club or whatever it is wherever they go, where they just
Go to
smoke
all the
cigars
clubs,
and
to
talk.
Hey, Matt,
Ghiblis
don't
to-
act like you don't know where us fellas go when the ladies aren't around.
We love to talk about the game, the big game that's on the TV.
Oh, I thought you meant like the
only ugly
game.
women have personalities. That's
Right.
one of my favorite lines.
Right.
Yeah.
Only
Yeah, me
ugly
and Craig were just talking about that earlier.
Yeah.
How we like the heads on the sticks.
We
And
went
the-
to a restaurant that's just called Leather.
yes,
And we smoke our cigars.
That's a gay bar, honey.
it
Yeah,
is.
that would be a different place.
They're like, yeah, they do the thing about how there's no women, only ugly women have good personalities. And Patrick's like, yeah, I totally know what you're talking about. It's like how Ed Gein once said, whenever I see a pretty lady on the side of the road, I either want to take her to the malt shop or I want to decapitate her and put her head on a stick. And they just look at him askance. With the book, because the book is told in first person, you don't get to know things like they looked at me weird. It's like, and everything I said was hitting. They loved everything. I had them in the palm of my hands.
I love that moment. Like there is like, so as like a man, you are sometimes going to be in groups of other men that think they're in a space where they're like, let me just
Right.
talk like an asshole because there's only men around. And then like that kind of talk leads to someone being like, well, we're talking like this. Let me go ahead and really pop off. And then like, yeah, that is where this kind of talk leads you, stupid asshole.
That's exactly what I said to Matt. It's like he's
like,
doing the
to see them all
rules.
be like, oh shit, bro, we were just kind of like doing guy talk. Like, what the hell, man? Like I've been a part of that so many times. Like watch that happen where like bros are broing and then one bro is taking it a little too hard.
Because
And
it's
everybody else just says, bro.
Well, is the logical
what the
conclude this
hell?
is the result of objectifying women this way, right? They're just taking it all the way.
Right. And you're like, what's
Let's
different about
skip
what
to
I
the
said?
end.
What's the big harm in what I said? How's that any difference from what you guys were
You're
saying?
making it real.
And they're like, you just know, man. You just know.
Yeah, but someone like Patrick just doesn't know.
Yeah, I was at
He's following the rules.
I was taken out to lunch by some old school like New Orleans attorneys to one of these French Quarter restaurants, and this guy, this like
John
70-year-old John Goodman was playing them, and John Candy from JFK is, if you remember him in that movie, like that was the kind of lawyer I was going to lunch with.
John Candy's in JFK.
Yeah, he's like the big lawyer.
Yeah, he's like,
say.
now Kevin Costner,
Oh yeah.
you better not look into that JFK thing now.
If I answer that question you keep asking, if I give you the name of the big enchilada, you know, then it's Bon Voyage Dino. I mean like permanent. I mean like a bullet in my head, you dig? You're a mouse fighting a gorilla. Kennedy's as dead as that.
And then one of them takes out his cell phones and just has a naked lady on it and just hands it over to me and just like, huh? Oh. And I'm like 24. I'm like,
there's
yes,
some-
sir. There you go.
That sure is some tits.
Capital knockers.
Capital knockers.
That's insane behavior.
And
That's insane behavior.
This was
it like,
just guys being guys.
I would have so many questions for him.
Like, is
First
this
off,
your
who is that?
daughter?
Why are you showing
Right. Was she trafficked?
This was my boss on the ride over was like, this is my mentor. He taught me everything I know.
Jesus
I
Christ,
really
that's
want you to pay
perfect.
attention to him.
And this
That's
is the worst boss
awesome.
you've ever had.
Hey,
Yeah,
you want to
attract-
know what it takes to be a man and succeed in this business? You better listen to him.
You collect pussies.
Look at this picture.
Yeah, that's what it was.
You need a JO, buddy? Just a complete pervert as your mentor.
At least that would have been something. This was just, here, look at it.
Just
What
here.
do you want me to do
Yeah,
with it?
just confirm. Confirm you like. Right. What were you supposed to say? What did you say?
I was like, capital knockers,
Oh,
sir.
you said it.
I have no idea. I think I passed the phone. Oh, you take a look now.
Oh, now it's your turn. We'll pass it around.
All right,
So then,
pass me on this game next time, please.
So Lewis arrives and shows his new business card, and it blows everybody away, and Patrick is just devastated. So he goes, and Lewis goes to the bathroom. Patrick follows him in a rage. He's going to kill him. At this point, the score now sounds so much like Bernard Herrmann's Psycho score, and it will recur throughout the rest of the movie. Patrick has his leather gloves on, and he's about to choke Lewis's neck, but Lewis turns around and kisses his hand, and he's like, "Oh yes, I have always wanted. Oh, Patrick, I've always been hoping you would do this." And Patrick goes and washes his gloves under the water. And he runs away, and Lewis is like, "Where are you going?" And he says, "I've got to return some videotapes."
That's time and time again.
I love the recurrent excuse. Me too,
Yes.
man. All the time.
Hell yeah.
I still have to.
I gotta go return videotapes.
I still got some.
Yeah.
Got to find the one blockbuster.
This is like kind of a turning point in the movie. I think so much of like who he is relies on like what he perceives his own masculinity as. And then like the second he like Lewis tries to come on to him or mistakes it, it's like everything he thought he was projecting. He's like, oh, I'm not doing this right. I've clearly put off some wrong signal. And that's like kind of the point where shit starts falling apart for him, I feel like.
Oh, okay.
Well,
yeah.
I think this is also a part of the movie where knowing that Mary Harron is a lesbian is important to decoding what's going on, where it's like Lewis also, this is a like framework of masculinity where touch between men can be violent or homosocial.
Yeah.
Like those, and they may reflect, like they may express themselves the same way.
And there's very little in between as far as like male affection. Yeah.
That's interesting. Yeah. It puts the hands on him, and to Matt Ross instantly, it's like, yes.
If you're touching me, it's either for sex or to kill me. Right. Is this kill or sex? Well, it's in a men's bathroom. It's sex.
So next day, he is at work, busy at work, doing the crossword, and Chloe Sevigny comes in, and she's like, hey, boss, you need some help with the crossword puzzle? He's like, no, I think I've got it. I'm just writing bones over and over again.
What the fuck is a bonest?
Bonest.
Meaty.
Meat.
It just says bones and bonessi.
And so he asks her, Jean, would you like to come to dinner tonight? And she's been waiting forever for him to ask this. And so he does the absolute asshole thing of saying, pick where you want us to go to dinner, and pick right. And she just stands there. She says Dorsia, and he calls and pretends to get a reservation.
Don't you see though, in this moment, he's let down. He thinks of her as a real person. He's looking to be with a real person. So yeah, he's putting on his airs because doesn't know how not to. But then she picks the one place he can't get into, and to him, he's like, well, I was even fucking wrong about you. You're like everyone else.
She's like, yeah, but I listen to you all the time. You know the good restaurants. That's where you like to go.
I know that's why, Matt. But for him.
Yes.
Okay.
But they're just not understanding each other. No, I was hoping you'd say IHOP. I don't know. She calls, pretends that he gets a reservation. a table for two at 9? Great. See you there. And hangs up. And she's like, you didn't even leave your name.
They know me.
So she comes to his apartment, and he's like, would you like some sorbet?
I won't be having any, you fat ass. Right.
Goes and gets some from the freezer, where we see that there's a decapitated head in the freezer. He goes and asks her, what do you want to do with your life? Just briefly, summarize.
Bonessi.
Which is something my dad will often, at the end of something he says to me or say to anybody, will
summarize.
Say quickly. So she's like, well, I don't know. I was always hoping to work with kids, but I don't even know. Yeah. So yeah, do you have a boyfriend? No. Are you seeing anyone? No, not really. But like, so doesn't she know he's Reese Witherspoon? What's going on with? I don't know. It's hard to track these personal lives, and
that's the
way
point.
They're all entangled.
She can tell that it's all a facade. That he is going through the motions of being with her, but is he with her?
He says,
she sees him, Matt.
That's the problem.
I'm sorry.
He says, did you know Ted Bundy's first dog was a collie named Lassie? And she says, who's Ted Bundy? And he's like,
fail.
Never mind. And he, like
no
the Charlie Brown music plays as he walks away.
I thought you were mine.
So he's about to shoot her in the back of the head with that nail gun, and then the phone rings, and Reese Witherspoon calls like, hello, my darling, you're my baby boy. And I'll leave a message with Jean, your secretary, about this too tomorrow, but we're having dinner with the Taylors.
But see, she's not mad. Like Jean
Right.
is different from everyone else. This would have been a reason for a big old scene, but she just gets it. And she's patient and she's even still interested. And that's why she gets his pardon.
She asks, do you want me to go?
Her boss asked her on a date. She has no power.
Yeah, that's how I read it too, is that she just has no, at this point, she's like, maybe was intrigued by him at the beginning, but now is almost scared of him and feels like she doesn't have anything else because she doesn't like, I feel like once they're in the apartment, she's not very flirty anymore.
But she does
she's
say,
still hoping. Yeah, she's still kind of like toying with the idea of I should go. Oh, but I shouldn't. Like, no, I think she's into it from the very
and she
to
says,
the last minute.
I do tend to get involved with
unavailable guy.
men.
Yeah,
I think she does like him.
It's what she wanted from the beginning. She was trying to madman her way in his pants.
That's what she was trying to do. But yeah, obviously she doesn't actually have a choice. Do you want to go to dinner with me? And do you want to be at my apartment for 2 hours first for drinks?
What the fuck?
And will you please dress sexy? That was not
wear your
not
prom
a question,
dress,
by the way. Yeah. Do you want me to go? And he says, yes, because if you don't, I'm afraid something bad will happen. You don't want to get hurt, do you? And she's like, no, I don't want to be bruised.
That's such a weird line.
He has lunch.
Here's the mask. The sweaty mask is back. That man is listening.
The other actors would say they do the scenes over and over again, and Christian Bale would make himself sweat at the exact same time.
He would make himself sweat. Can't they just spritz him?
He's just that good.
Wow.
And he's like, Defoe's like,
that sounds like some shit Jared Leto would say, honestly.
Yes. It's like I can puke on command. I can sweat
on command.
So Jared Leto was not a method actor at the time. I believe Jared Leto's entire story is he was like this teeny bopper guy. Then he worked with Christian Bale on American Psycho, and he's like, that's who I need to be.
Stop it.
So now he's the super serious.
Uh-huh. Like,
there you go.
Patrick Bateman.
I need to be super serious method guy who doesn't break character between takes. So yeah, Defoe's like, so where were you the night of the disappearance?
All I can do is see you in pantyhose, like trying to come on to me in Boondock Saints when you talk like that. That's all I can see is your man pussy.
What do you know about those Boondock Saints?
Hey, big time.
And he's like, well, I don't know. I think I was. And he's like, I'll tell you. You were having dinner with Marcus Halberstram. That's right, a perfect alibi. And he's like, okay. Yeah, everybody's just getting confused for everybody else. Nobody actually knows where they were. So, okay, this manna from heaven. I am no longer a suspect. Patrick sees Christy on the side of the road, propositions her again, but she is very reluctant to join him, but accepts the money in the end and probably knows like this guy's not going to leave me alone. He is going to keep following me. I told him I was considering getting a lawyer, and he's like, oh, well, I'll just write you a check and we'll take care of that now that that's out of the way. Come with me again. It'll be nothing like last time, I promise. So he takes her over to Paul Allen's apartment where he is told, oh, this is nicer than your other apartment. And he's like, it's not really nicer. And they meet a friend of his, Elizabeth, who is played by the co-screenwriter, Guinevere Turner, who is like asking Chrissy these questions like, where do I know you from? Where do you summer? The Southamptons?
But like she's already so out of it that she's not even bothered by the fact that he says that that's his cousin and he'd like to now have a threesome.
Because he says cousin and she's like, oh, come on. Like doesn't believe it.
Oh, all right. Fine.
But he's like, hey, would you have sex with her? And she's like, ooh, that's gross. And she's like, or Christian Bale is like, come on, I think it'd be a real turn on.
Oh, woo.
Well, in that case. But he's like drugging her, putting drugs in their wine. And
he's a roofie king.
They are like making out and stuff, and he's like, "Do you guys know about Whitney Houston's debut LP?"
Well, she explicitly says like no, and then there's a hard cut to them implying that like, because she says that their drinks tasted funny,
right?
And then there's like a hard cut implying time had passed, and they're clearly now like have been drugged by something.
Yeah, and they show him crushing pills.
Yeah,
something. So he's lecturing them about Whitney Houston and did you know it had 4 #1 singles on it? Did you know that, Christy? We cut to them having some hard sex and Christy sneaks away.
I've never seen a sandwich sex. Just pounding away at 2 women while you're on top and they're just flopping around.
Oh, you've never done the sandwich?
I've never.
It is a little confusing as to where the dick is.
Yeah, and it was also because I did not realize it was all 3 of them. And so I was looking at it, and then I was like, "Hold on, there's extra legs
Right.
here."
Like
I got lost too, trying to figure out exactly whose legs were
It's
who.
the beast with 3 backs.
Yes.
That's what. Yeah.
Well, and then
Saith the Lord.
the sex worker is serving as a table at that point. They're just fucking upon her, but it's smart because she gets out of needing to be penetrated.
She rolls out of the sandwich.
Yeah,
She's
she
like,
just- they
hell
don't-
yeah.
they don't
I'm
need this
gone.
bun.
I'll just go ahead and collect my things, and then sees he is stabbing the other woman, and she's like,
Well,
oh.
and then
Isn't he
also that
biting her?
every single room now has bodies in it.
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
And so, like, at this point, it is a full. Well, the score gets really psycho-y, but now she is the final girl of a slasher and is finding all the bodies
Right.
around the place, like in any Friday the 13th or Halloween. Oh, well, I'll go to this room now. Oh my God, bodies! No, not in this refrigerator. Oh, bodies in the refrigerator. No. And it's just interesting, like. And she sees there's like die yuppie scum is painted on one of the
Right.
walls, and Patrick starts chasing her with the chainsaw.
No, he just chases her and bites her leg. It's the best fucking part.
Yeah.
He says
Yeah,
like,
he takes
fuck
a
it, I
deep
just want
stomper.
carnage. Ah!
But she makes it out, and she is running down the hall of the building, and he is chasing her with the chainsaw. And as Lacey pointed out, he's naked, but he put his shoes back on to
Yes,
chase
he put
her.
on his little
Which is practical,
his tennies.
yes.
It is a look.
I like it. That butt is perfect.
No, I like it too. And he's just no, and she runs down the stairs, and he drops the chainsaw, and it just happens to perfectly impale
No, this
her.
not just happens. He's a
Yeah, you didn't see him
calculating
timing that
genius.
shit?
Yeah, he's timing it, Matt. That's the whole fucking
okay,
genius
okay.
of that part. You freaking noob.
I
And-
guess so.
Yeah.
But
Hey, he was
I
watching
realized,
Texas Chainsaw Massacre earlier. He understands the technique.
The key, the
well,
balance.
right? Like in a slasher movie, these are the kinds of kills that happen. Is the killer drops a chainsaw from 6 stories up, and it happens to perfectly impale the person because they're just that good at throwing chainsaws.
And in TCM too, chainsaw up the butt crack.
Yes.
That's my favorite chainsaw.
Yes. So it is funny, like if a movie that suddenly reveals this movie has the rules of a slasher movie, which could make the case that actually all this stuff really is happening.
And the apathy of a Boondock Saints. I hate to go back to it, but she's banging on the doors and screaming bloody murder in this very prestige freaking building, a building that should have no criminal activity, and no one is coming out.
That also happens in Halloween.
Okay.
But yeah, it's probably the Boondock Saints.
It's probably the Boondock Saints.
So
Look at Reese.
I think my favorite scene in the movie is where they break up, is where he breaks up with Reese Witherspoon. Because first he's coloring on the table.
What he just did.
Yeah, but just coloring on this white tablecloth.
He was
'cause, like,
given
he's a child.
given crayons.
He had to
yes.
request these crayons. Oh, can I get some crayons?
I just want red.
And he's like, I think we should see other people. But she's like not really even listening to him.
Oh, stop it, Mr. Grumpy.
Love the gag of that it cuts to him drawing, and it's not even like he's drawing the murder scene he just did.
He just
And
did.
then
Yeah.
But it, like, you would assume like, okay, he's at work or something, and then it zooms out on the tablecloth.
Anytime he's with her, he needs an activity. He has to have the music on. He has to be coloring. She
That's
is
right.
so hard to stomach that he needs a fidget.
So yeah, I don't think we should see each other anymore. And she's like, wow, you're really serious about this. What about the past, our past? And he's like, well, we never really had one. You're just not terribly important to me.
Oh, Patrick.
Yeah, she starts screaming and he's like, I'm leaving. She's like, well, where are you going? I have to return some videotapes.
Video.
So he goes to the ATM. He sees a little kitty on the ground. He's like, well, here, kitty, 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 and picks it up. And then the ATM says, feed me a stray cat. And now he takes a gun out of his jacket. We've
Yes,
never seen him
that
having a
has
gun before.
Appeared.
And a woman
So I feel
comes.
like also, like, going back to the is this real or not? I feel like there is a lot of stuff, like, in retrospect, when you watch it, you're like, okay, that could have been fake. That could have been fake. But I do feel like, unless I'm forgetting something, the feed me a stray cat is one of the first, like, extremely explicit, like,
Yeah.
wait, what
Right.
the fuck? Is this
And then
a
he
real, like,
Blows
thing
up a
going
cop
on?
car with a gunshot.
Yeah,
And
and then,
even he
like,
looks
we
at the
see
gun
all
like,
these-
what?
Yeah. And I think, so much of it, I think, well, y'all alluded to it at the beginning, is like, does it matter or not? And I don't,
Right.
and ultimately, I don't think it does, because it is a movie about a man who is violent and insane, and his
Yeah.
reality is the reality that we're in.
Right.
So, like, if the ATM said, feed me a stray cat, then that's what happened. So he's just rolling with it.
I think my favorite character in the movie, though, might be the woman who sees him about to feed the stray cat.
Stop that.
And just like, oh, no, don't do that.
Don't feed the cat to the thingy.
And he just shoots her and lets the cat live. But now the heat is up. So the cops are chasing him and he gets close.
Because if a white lady dies, everyone's alerted.
He gets close to the cop car and he gets in a firefight with the cops and just shoots the cop car and it explodes.
That's
and
awesome.
he looks at the gun. He's like, "What? Okay."
Also, I do like that because he never really acknowledges
right
how like everything is working out in his favor in a way that until like I think that struck me this time watching it is too, like him looking at the gun is kind of the first time he acknowledges like, what the fuck? How does everything keep coming up Patrick Bateman here?
I'm sure there's a very boring read of this movie, a fan theory. Guys, here's my fan theory. Patrick Bateman's actually in a video game.
Oh,
and he's becoming aware.
He's a vat in a brain. A vat in a brain. You know what I mean?
And he doesn't realize his HP has gone up and now his gun is more than just a gun.
Okay.
So he goes into the lobby of this building and immediately shoots the night desk clerk. And I love that
he goes around the roundabout.
The revolving door, goes back in to shoot the janitor.
But then it's like he immediately wants a redo. So he goes into an identical building where he also can go up and does it right this time. Gets out the pen.
I meant to look this up, but that's for sure the same as Nakatomi Plaza, right? That lobby is.
It does look the same, but it also looks like One Shell Square, which is where my mom worked. So I think it all just looks like that.
Okay, because it looks so much like the same
big
lobby
marble
from Die Hard.
Marble, it totally does, but that is exactly what it looks like.
Same spot too.
See, I think buildings just all look the same.
That's true.
Because I think
guys.
I should have looked up where this was filmed. I assumed it was in New York, but I don't know. Because Nakatomi Plaza actually was filmed in that Century City.
Yeah.
He goes up to his office and calls his lawyer, and he's like, "Hey, my lawyer." And I think now Christian Bale is now using the real Patrick Bateman voice, which he's like, "I gotta tell you like what I'm doing here." I don't remember exactly how it sounds.
Guttural?
But yeah, it sounds way less like the affected voice that he's been putting on the whole movie.
Yeah, completely uncomposed, falling apart.
I got to tell you about all the stuff I've been doing. I killed some man with a dog last week, and
it's not precise. He doesn't exactly know what he's going to say, and it's not even totally accurate.
I killed like another girl with a chainsaw. I had to. And something else I can't remember. And one, I tried to eat her brains. It's so funny. See, after all that, he's like, anyway, call me back. Okay, thanks, bye.
Again, it's Patrick Bateman, 504.
The next day, he goes to Jared Leto's apartment with a surgical mask on. I guess he's looking to dispose of bodies, but there are people here. It looks all different. It's like a real estate showing.
It looks like it's been both cleaned or it's in the middle of someone moving out and someone moving in. I like how the movie plays with your idea of like, okay, did the wolf come here? Has this been cleaned up?
That's a good point, yeah.
I mean, I think that they would still want you to know. And even the knowing look on this woman's face, it's almost like she's like, oh, you're the reason I had to get the wolf in here to flip this apartment. I think it's best if you leave. And he's very subservient to her, not because he's a cuck, Mac, but because he's like, oh, you fixed it. Okay, goodbye, godmother. He's realizing he has special powers, but he doesn't know, is it really magic? Are you my magic godmother?
Or she could be this, because the way that this actress who plays the real estate woman plays it is, she's like, are you my 2 o'clock? And he's like, no. And she's like,
and get the fuck out of here.
As soon as you don't represent an opportunity for me, like, get the fuck out of here.
No.
I read it like Lacey as well, is that she is looking at him like, you're the reason we're here.
Yep.
Because I think that adds to the like, is this real or not? And that like, he is clearly being like, what the fuck happened to this place? Like, I must have the wrong spot. But she's also acknowledging like, no, you got the right one, asshole. You're in the right spot. You know why we're here.
Right. And you think about who his dad is, and it's like, well, did the fucking lawyer call my dad? Did my dad fix this overnight? Is the lawyer going to pretend I was joking? What? I really can't fuck up out of this. I'm stuck here.
The lawyer is going to pretend like he was joking.
Yes.
Or
he doesn't even know it's you. He doesn't even
realize.
Right.
But if we ever have to sell the house we live in right now, I feel like we are going to have to call the wolf, and it will look like a murder cover up.
There's just a lot of piss and shit
to make our house look presentable.
Our child is like Encino Man with his poop. It's it's part of his creativity.
You don't have to say that.
Well, it's fine. He's a sweet baby boy.
I have a elderly dog that exclusively pees and poops on our floor now. So
similar boat. Once you find a good spot, it's like Dorsia. You got to shit there.
No, nobody shits at Dorsia's anymore.
Oh, sorry.
Calls up Chloe Sevigny on the phone booth. And he's just like, I need help. And she's like, wait, I can't hear you.
She's already, right. Well, and he's being a total asshole to her. And she's just worried about him. Yeah. She's different, Matt. All right.
And what he says is, stop sounding so fucking sad. Like, stop being sorry for me. Stop being sad for me. Hangs up on her. And then she goes into his office, looks at his appointment book. Again, he never does any work. His appointments are all just
He's
lunches.
Working hard. You know how hard it is to cover up all these murders?
But then sees drawing after drawing of graphic depictions of murder and sexual violence.
A lot of squirting. A lot of squirters in that drawing.
A lot of splattering. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we expected the Kate Winslet and Titanic. Oh, these are good.
Yeah, so these are very good. Okay.
So he goes to
really funny. That is really funny, though, that his drawings are terrible. I do like
You're
that.
Right, they're not there. Just stick people coming.
One of the greatest movies of the last 10 or 15 years. I'm going to be hyperbolic. I feel like maybe we've even argued about this, but Pop Star, Never Stop, Never Stopping.
Mm-hmm.
That one, the Andy Samberg one. We've not.
Great movie, yeah.
I love that movie. But the running gag that he took some time off to work on his art, and then all like the shittiest drawings of horses is exactly the vibe that this that his little sketchbook gives.
Yeah,
it will never not.
He's a fidgeter.
I love every version of the joke of somebody worked so hard on some form of art, whether it's music or art or whatever it is, and you see it and it's terrible.
Yeah.
It's hard for some people.
But you just said Patrick Bateman's drawings are bad, and my heart hurt a little bit for him. Like, oh, leave him alone.
I know they're not bad for us. He's got a lot on his mind.
Yeah. He's got some baggage.
His best friends in the universe are over at the bar. They're trying to find a resi. And he's just going to go meet them and try to act normal. And so he immediately is like, oh, I'm not going anywhere without a reservation, he says. But then he like immediately drops into like scared, panicking Patrick Bateman. Then sees his lawyer. The lawyer who I called last night and confessed everything to. Goes up to him and he's like, oh, hello, Davis. His lawyer also doesn't recognize that he's Patrick Bateman. And he says, did you get my message? And the lawyer's like, oh, yeah, that was hilarious. Patrick Bateman killing some girls. He's such a dork. Listen, I'm not one to badmouth anyone, but your joke had one fatal flaw. Bateman, he's such a spineless lightweight. And so he
could never kill.
Yeah.
Never kill like a hardcore king.
And so I guess the lawyer's like, well, we mostly talk on the phone. So of course I don't actually recognize you in real life, but here you are. And he's like,
cash the checks, baby.
I'm Patrick Bateman. I chopped Paul Allen's fucking head off. And that whole message I left on your machine was true. And the lawyer looks at him like very seriously. And he's like, that can't be true because I had dinner with Paul Allen 10 days ago.
So maybe they all just look alike and he killed someone he thought was Paul Allen. No.
So it's all like dawning on him. Like I none of this is real.
This is Reagan's America.
I live in a video game and everything's always going to go my way. I put in the cheat code where it's Grand Theft Auto and the cops will never be after me. So he goes and sits down with his bros and there's this TV mounted on the wall. I miss these TV mounts, this beautiful tube television showing CNN. Talking about the Iran-Contra was a regrettable thing, mommy.
3 impressions in one movie?
Sorry.
It's okay.
I love it.
Justin Theroux is like, how can that motherfucker lie to us like that? How can you be so cool about it? And someone else, I don't remember who's like, some guys are just cool, I guess. And they're looking up at Ronald Reagan. He presents himself as this harmless old codger, but inside, and then the voiceover, Bateman says, inside doesn't matter. All the mayhem I have caused, all my utter indifference toward it, it's surpassed. I do not hope for a better world. In fact, I want my pain to be inflicted on others. My punishment continues to elude me. I gain no deeper knowledge of myself. No new knowledge can be extracted from my telling. This confession has meant nothing. The end. That's the end of the movie.
And it was in 2000. It was a very poignant tale about the corruption and how masculinity and the pursuit of material will poison everything. And I'm glad that we all, as a world,
learned the lesson.
Took that to heart, and now are living
no more
in
of
a
that.
Yeah. That's what I was going to say. Is I feel like watching this right now. It's a great satirical evisceration of like a very particular vacuous bourgeois masculinity. And right now, crypto fascist techno press are currently wreaking havoc. I think for me, it doesn't matter if the most explicit, bloodiest violence is real, because even if Patrick Bateman didn't kill any of those women, he probably still would have drugged them. He still worked in mergers and acquisitions, which is one of the most like exploitative fields that's all about like playing with the financialization of the market at the expense of people's lives and livelihoods. He would have contributed nothing of worth.
That's why we never see him working, is because those types of jobs don't require work.
He'd still be filled with greed, disgust, and contempt. And it's the same thing like these fucking doggy motherfuckers. That's a bit. It's a bit I stole from Churanon. They call it doggy instead of doge. But it's like they do the same thing. This like real and fake violence being mirrored, where like online, all those that pack of idiot 19-year-olds saying like horrible things online about women and all kinds of minoritized groups, and then also they're exploding federal agencies, benefits that are programs that benefit people, and again people's jobs and livelihoods. So it doesn't really matter because the personality, the kind of masculinity that he embodies, and the economic class that it represents is doing these things and enacting this form of violence. This is just like the most extreme, metaphorical version of it.
Right. If he's not literally going and killing all these people, the things that all of these guys are doing in their jobs, they're doing the respectable version of it. They are causing, they're ruining people's lives. They're destroying them financially and doing violence. And then, Ronald Reagan literally doing covert wars around the world and neglecting, causing people to die of AIDS by ignoring it and denying it. And
he's just the reality no one wants to see.
And to him, he's like, well, the ultimate ideal is if I could be a super cool killer, like from the horror movies. Do you guys have a star rating for the movie? Letterboxd rules out of 5?
Letterboxd rules, and I'm sorry, but I'm a bit of a purist. I don't do this half-star business on Letterboxd.
What do you mean purist? It's built into the thing.
Right, yeah.
I meant purist in the terms of stars. I'm a star purist, and we don't give half stars.
Honestly,
I for a long time got way too invested in like my thoughts of like what a number rating I would give to something, and it was giving me like anxiety about the way I watched movies. And I swear to God, I lost so much anxiety when I was like, you know what, I'm going to take half stars out of my rating system on Letterboxd and only go full stars. It's been a beautiful, validating process for me to remove those half stars. But this would be a 5 for me. I do like this movie a whole lot, and it's been a long time favorite, and is aged well. No, it hasn't aged well. I'll say
you have aged well.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
It's still
but I think like it has been at different stages of my life, has kept its relevancy to me.
Mm-hmm.
I think I might subscribe to your half star. The way you just said that kind of sold me, because I think way too much about my ratings, and it's like I give everything a I should just dispense with the half stars.
I got so sick of doing the half stars because I'd be like, well, I gave, I don't know, like, if Shrek got 2.5 stars and I gave Shrek 2 stars, was it really 1/2 star less better than Shrek?
Plug into your intuition.
Thank you.
Like,
that's what I do.
Vibe with it.
Thank you.
Like I have no interest in maintaining like what in social science research we would call like intracoder reliability. Fuck it. I don't care. Like their Final Destination, 5 star.
5 out of 5, baby.
Also, The Devils, 5 star.
Hell
also,
yeah.
Suspiria 2018, 5 star.
Absolutely.
I don't fucking care. Beyond Valley of Dolls, 5 stars.
American Psycho?
Yeah. I'm gonna say 3.5.
Okay. 3.5. We are on the half stars.
I may have said 4, but I'm just going to say it to flout your
3.5,
to flout.
I round up. So
I'm a
4
contrarian.
Stars. So 4 stars. We get it.
Well,
What about y'all?
What about you?
it's 5 for me.
Hell yeah.
All right, well, I'm gonna go 4.5.
You fuck. I told you. I told you. How's the bat?
Don't really know why I shouldn't go 5 though. I really loved it, and I think talking about it with you guys has made me love it even more.
Hell
Fuck
yeah.
it, 5 stars.
Oh, this little contrarian went to the
You know what,
market.
5.5.
I think, obviously Christian Bale
Don't
is
give
great.
it 110% over there.
Obviously, Christian Bale is great. Everyone is great. I think Mary Harron does a great job directing it, both as a comedy, as a commentary on the wealthy class, New York of 1987, and it's just a good horror movie. It's a good slasher movie. It's a super effective slasher movie, and I know it's not the kind of movie she wanted to make, but if she got to make like a just straightforward slasher movie, that would have been awesome. And maybe she will one day.
I love slashers in a suit, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So check it out, everybody. Check out American
she really
Psycho.
give it a check. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We have had so much fun talking to you guys for 2 hours.
Yeah, same here.
Sorry about how long this has been.
I've
No, not at
turned
all.
into a pumpkin. Sorry. I'm drifting.
Please tell everybody one more time about Red Rose Film Club and where they can find it.
Yeah, you can find it wherever you get podcasts. It is a movie podcast. It is a politics podcast. We are both leftists and like to talk about movies and kind of look at them from a leftist perspective in a industry that is kind of dominated by liberal capitalism.
Follow us on Letterboxd. I'm at She's Structured.
And I'm
Keg Freighter.
at Keg Freighter.
Yeah.
That's me on Letterboxd. My real name was taken, and every iteration of it, so I just thought of 2 rhyming words.
Yeah, everybody, please check out their podcast. It's an excellent podcast.
Very informative.
Very
Fun.
informative. You bring so much historical perspective, like history of the world, not just the history of the
Right.
movie itself, but to put it into context. And you bring that leftist political analysis that I feel is so in such short supply, and you really help me understand even like the sort of like liberal capitalistic things that go into movies that you might not notice. They're just so ingrained in us that we don't think about them.
Uh-huh.
And I've tried to apply that to like my own thinking about movies. Especially as I've been watching so many spy movies recently. And it's like,
Love a good
these spy movies all seem to have the CIA or whatever is CIA adjacent doing something bad. And it's like, that's bad. But the reason they're doing something bad is because a bad person got control of the CIA. And that's
Bad apple.
So we just need to get rid of the bad guy and then go back to doing good. It's like, once you notice that's a plot of so many movies, it's like, maybe there's a reason that is.
And that's why Elon Musk and Doge are going to get rid of those bad actors in these government agencies.
Just get in there, get under the hood, take a look, get rid of this inefficient, bad
Keep her around a
CIA
little
men
bit.
thing.
Yeah, I would say that any leftist, wherever you are in your journey, whether you're like just waking up from the liberal nap, or whether you're a hardcore socialist or an anarchist, you have to have a systems level analysis. Like, it just is required, and it is my mission always to bring that to our discussions on Red Rose Film Club.
And you mean systems as opposed to like just focusing on individual people or individual
Right.
actors.
Like understanding institutions, how power flows and operates.
Everybody, please check out Red Rose Film Club wherever you get your podcasts. As for us, we're taking the week off next week for spring break. We're gonna go
Fuck y'all.
drink from some coconuts and
No, we're goddamn not.
hang 10.
Gonna drink our
surfer.
tears
yeah.
and watch our children.
The following week, we will return with Sister Act 2.
Because we do the big hitting films, man.
Yeah. We
Oh,
loved
yeah.
Sister Act 1 year ago. Finally, we're returning for Sister Act 2, and we're having our guest, our friend Jen. Jen Walks Into Walls coming. So episode 157 on April 25th. Tell a friend about our podcast. Give us a review on Apple Podcasts. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Follow us on Letterboxd. I'm Matt Stokes 9. Lacey's Load Bearing Lacey. And my band, Rural Route 9, does the music for the show. Please check us out on Spotify or wherever you get your music. That's it. Thank you. You really check out Rural Route
You
9's
fucking
music from
done
the
yet?
beginning of the... Okay, go ahead.
Okay, I love you. Goodbye.
3, 4.
everybody. LeBaron Peems, LeBaron